Chapter 633. Dream of a lifetime. The wind and clouds in the world changed. Serene Dream's sapphire eyes were exceptionally dazzling in the dark night, and her waist-length blue hair did not change in the howling wind. Yi Zichen's domineering aura caused him to feel stifled. Only then did Yi Zichen feel as if there was an insurmountable gulf between them. The suffocating pressure caused beads of sweat to drip down from his forehead. So long as he wanted to, Yi Zichen was sure he could destroy the entire city with a flip of his hand. It was my negligence. Back then, I allowed you to grow. I didn't expect you to reach such a level. Deep Dream's tone was full of gloom, and the sapphire I became more and more dazzling. To be honest, if His Highness hadn't been there at that time, it would have been a problem whether you could have survived. Your Highness, Yi Zichen's eyes widened. Yes, I'm sure you didn't expect it. The girl by your side is already a highness of our four-direction palace. The current her is completely different from how she was back then. Deep Dream smiled cruelly, and a cold light burst from his eyes. That day His Highness stopped me. This time, I want to see who else can save you. Whoosh. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen's body froze, unable to move. He struggled with all his might, but it was as if he was imprisoned in the air. He was keenly aware that danger was approaching him, and he knew very well, as long as that unknown danger came into contact with him, his only outcome would be death. Don't be nervous. Before you die, I will make you very happy. Deep Dream pursed her lips and chuckled. An invisible light shield instantly enveloped the entire city. In an instant, everyone in the city, including Zhou Mo and the others, blushed with excitement. However, their expressions were one of extreme agony as they curled up on the ground. Do you see that? These are you mortals. Yumu pointed at the crowd below and sneered. Do you know the origin of my name, Yumu? It was a netherworldly dream. I can control the dreams of all living beings and make them dream what they want. Look, they look so excited. But do you know why they are in so much pain? Yumu, what exactly do you want? Yi Zichen roared. Any human emotion, excitement, joy, sorrow, and so on, when it reaches its peak, will lead to death. Their current dream is indeed very comfortable for them, but in the final moment, only death awaits them. Yumu smiled sinisterly, causing Yi Zichen to frown. Do you want to kill everyone in this city? Aren't you afraid of the wrath of heaven? Heaven, Deep Dream sneered. I know heaven better than you. All right, I'm a little tired after talking to you so much. You go and have fun in your dreams. Zichen. At that moment, Yi Zichen heard a gentle laugh. The scene suddenly changed. Yi Zichen sat on the sofa in casual clothes, while Tian giggled and played games with Xia Kiki in the living room. As expected, Su Yin and Lu were bickering. As for the person who called out his name, Yume, Yi Zichen looked at the smiling woman in front of him in shock. She was wearing home clothes and walked towards him with a smile. Tears flowed down for no reason. Seriously, it's been a long time. Why are you spacing out here? Hurry up and go eat. Tian is going to have a parent-teacher conference later. I also have to go to the company later. You promised me that you would go. AI, why are you crying? Xiao Yumei looked at Yi Zichen in confusion. The moment she said that, the other girls in the room all surrounded him. Zichen Ji is crying. It's so embarrassing, Xia Kiki laughed. You're already so old. Why are you still crying? Su Yin couldn't help but frown. However, when she saw Tian's stomach, it was bulging. What are you looking at? This is your darling's son. Don't cry. Darling is still looking at you. Su Yan's eyes were filled with a motherly glow as she continuously caressed Tian's stomach. Daddy, Tian hasn't cried for a long time. Why are you crying nonstop? A young girl ran in front of Yi Zichen and leaped into his arms. Yi Zichen subconsciously stopped her and looked at the girl who called him Daddy intimately. Tian? Wow, Mom. What's wrong with Daddy? It's like he's never seen me before. Tian couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Yumu's feminine face suddenly surfaced in Yi Zichen's mind. Yes, this was a dream. All of this was just a dream. It was all a dream that I had been anticipating in my heart. A dream that he had constructed. But I really don't want to wake up from this dream. How could that be? Maybe Dad is a little tired recently. Yi Zichen rubbed Tiantian's head lovingly, then stood up from the sofa. He couldn't help but smile as he looked at the girls around him. Simon, let's go eat. This is what mortals are like. Yimu looked disdainfully at Yi Zichen, who was already curled up in pain. I know this is a dream, but I don't want to wake up. Mortals just like to be at ease and enjoy these impossible things. But forget it. Since he wants to use his life to exchange for this dream, I have the patience to wait until the end. In the blink of an eye, spring passed and autumn came, year after year. Dad! Tian bit her lips tightly in her wedding dress and couldn't help but cry as she looked at Yi Zichen, whose face was covered in wrinkles. You can't be so willful at your in-laws' place. But if you get bullied, then come home to stay. Yi Zichen patted her hand and smiled reluctantly. Grandpa, Tian, who was already a mother, returned to visit her family with her child. At that moment, Yi Zichen was already old. He chuckled as he watched the little fellow hug his leg intimately and asked him to take him to play. Time passed faster and faster. Until Yumeilin, Kiki Lulu, Yi Zichen, who was lying on the hospital bed, reached out weakly to grab the women who had accompanied him his entire life. Zichen Gij, Xia Kiki called out with a sob. Even at their age, the way she called him still hadn't changed. Kiki, don't cry. Everyone has to leave one day, right? Yi Zichen raised his hand with difficulty and wiped away the tears from the corner of Kiki's eyes, then couldn't help but smile apologetically at the girls beside him. I'm really sorry. I wasn't able to give you guys a proper status in the end, and we weren't able to hold a wedding either. It's fine. Xiao Yumei smiled warmly, while the other girls nodded. Chapter 634. Chapter 634. Dream Breaker Within the Ward. Yi Zichen smiled wryly, while tears flowed out his eyes. The surrounding girls also couldn't help but cry, while Xia Kiki also started to cry. Thank you guys so much for accompanying me my entire life. Seriously, I'm very happy. Yi Zichen choked out. Xiao Yumei pursed her lips with a smile, then grabbed Yi Zichen's hand. Us too. The surrounding girls nodded. At this moment, Yi Zichen also slowly closed his eyes. Even though he knew from the beginning that it was all just a dream, he couldn't help it. What awaited him at the end of this dream was death, but to be honest, he had no regrets. Beep! The instrument turned into a straight line. Everyone in the room couldn't help but cry. Yi Zichen, who had turned into a soul, floated in midair. However, at that very moment, you really want to report to the underworld? A man in a white robe suddenly appeared beside him, sitting cross-legged in midair as he spoke. You're too irresponsible. You had fun in the dream, but don't you think about the others? Su Yin and Xiao Yumei are still waiting for you. Why did you come into my dream? Yi Zichen glared at the white-robed man in midair and couldn't help but roll his eyes. Why are you like this? A nice dream was ruined by you just like that. Isn't this a pretty good ending? I was able to leave safely in front of my children, grandchildren, and loved ones. You ruined everything with your appearance. Sorry. The white-robed man made an apologetic gesture, then waved his hand, causing everything in front of him to turn into nothingness. As Yi Zichen watched the person in front of him gradually disappear, he let out a soft sigh, then sat cross-legged in the chaos. You came to save me? Sort of, the white-robed man shrugged. It's mainly because I was afraid that you would really give in, so I came over to take a look. I didn't think that you would actually give in. I'm doing this according to the path of life, and also out of respect for this dream. What do you know? Yi Zichen twitched his mouth, then raised his eyebrows. Oh yeah, I didn't find you. What the hell was that myrtle cheese you gave me? I nearly died. Also, why did I grow 2 pairs of wings? How would I know? The white-robed man rolled his eyes. I don't have time to waste with you. Hurry up and break the dream. Otherwise, the commoners in the city will die for you. What should I do? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. It's simple. As long as you feel pain, this dream will be broken. With that, a small dagger appeared in the white-robed man's hand, which he stabbed towards Yi Zichen's butt. Roar, it's over. Yimu had been watching Yi Zichen's flame of life the entire time. He only smiled in disdain when the flame was extinguished. He glanced at the people below. These people would most likely not be able to escape the fate of death. Of course, he was too lazy to care. Whether they lived or died would depend on their luck. The blindfold covered his eyes again, and his hair gradually returned to its normal length. He changed into his police uniform and was about to leave when he realized, the flames of Yi Zichen's life force, which had already been extinguished, blazed once more and burned even brighter than before. My butt. At that moment, Yi Zichen, who'd fallen to the ground in pain, jumped up and clutched his, but as he screamed, Yumu suddenly turned around and looked at Yi Zichen, who was yelling, you're back. Long time no see. Oh yeah, thank you for the dream. I really liked it. How could you? Deep Dream's eyes were full of shock. He had used 70% of his power to create a dream. Even ordinary Earth sovereigns would lose themselves in this dream, and they wouldn't be able to extricate themselves from it. In the end, their lives would end. Surprised, right? You didn't expect this, did you? Yi Zichen smiled foolishly and squinted his eyes. There's more that you can't imagine. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his head and shouted to the side. Hey, how do you think we should deal with this nightmare? Just use my big sword to slash once, right? Okay. Stop nagging me. I know what to do. Who are you talking to? Deep Dream frowned. I'm talking to a ghost. Yi Zichen bit his finger, causing a huge sword over 2 meters long to appear in his hand. Yi Zichen held it firmly with both hands, then spun it around. Break! Crack! The nightmare that enveloped the entire city shattered. At that moment, Yumu, who had sent the nightmare, also coughed up a mouthful of blood. His eyes twitched as he looked at Yi Zichen, who rested the huge sword on his shoulder with a mocking smile. You, Zaziz, do you feel like I'm super strong? I know without you telling me. Yi Zichen smiled comically, then couldn't help but dance around. Yumu's expression instantly darkened. I actually let a mid-stage sky immortal escape from my dream and even broke my nightmare. To me, utter humiliation. You're seeking death. Yumu suddenly exploded. Yi Zichen, who was dancing with the huge sword, immediately ran away while he shouted, Little brother, save me. Little brother, are you calling for me? An awkward figure blocked Yi Zichen's path. Yi Zichen let out a sigh of relief when he saw the white-robed figure. Of course it's you. I'll leave this guy to you. I'm going down to take a look. The white-robed man couldn't help but rub his nose. Yumu also stopped and did not chase after Yi Zichen. Even though the white-robed man didn't do anything, he still gave Yumu an indescribable pressure. The responsibility of the Six Realms Patroller is to search for the geniuses of the Six Realms to cultivate in the Four Directions Palace, in order to exterminate the remaining demons of the upper 3 realms. Am I right? How did you know? Yumu was shocked. But at the same time, the God Realm has forbidden the Six Realms Patroller from using divine power above the Earth Supreme level when going down to the lower realms. Am I right? Yes. Then you broke the rules. The white-robed man pursed his lips with a smile. The white-robed man pursed his lips and chuckled. That dream you just had has already surpassed the divine power of an Earth Supreme. It's not too late to stop now. Go back and admit your crimes. You might even be able to avoid death. What a joke, Yuma sneered. Who do you think you are? You actually dare to lecture me. It seems like you came down from the upper 3 realms as well. Have you never heard of the Netherworld race? I've naturally heard of the descendants of the 12 great shamans, but aren't you just from the side branch? The white-robed man couldn't help but mock. You're challenging my bottom line, Yumu frowned. So what if I challenge you? You're not my match. The white-robed man had indescribable confidence. Yumu clenched his teeth and clenched his fist. Yumu, don't you dare. At this moment, a 7-colored rainbow descended from the sky above the rainbow bridge. Chapter 635. Lu Jing's transformation. It was not an exaggeration at all for the woman on the rainbow bridge to call her a fairy from the 9 heavens. She walked down the rainbow bridge with light steps. This scene caused everyone in the city to raise their heads and stare at her in a daze. Your Highness, Yumu quickly walked over. Deep Dream walked over quickly, and the girl nodded with a faint smile. Do you know your crimes? This subordinate knows. Yumu did not dare to retort at all, and merely buried his head beneath his neck. However, Yi Zichen, who was standing below, was completely stunned. This girl, Lu Jing, compared to when Yumu brought her to the god realm from the modern realm, Lu Jing was clearly more mature. Her every action carried an indescribable coldness, making her seem cold and proud. His Majesty came to the modern realm to let you recruit talents, not to let you act violently, Lu Jing said plainly. Lu Jing said faintly, and Deep Dream kept nodding. You're right. But don't worry, I'll plead for you with His Majesty. With that, Lu Jing walked in front of the white-robed man. After a long while, Lu Jing finally smiled. Senior, why are you covering your face? Could it be that you don't want this junior to recognize you? There's no need, the white-robed man smiled. But since you're here, then it seems like there won't be any more trouble. I'll leave his place to you. Senior doesn't want to see me? Lu Jing's eyes flashed. The white-robed man, who was about to leave, paused, then raised his eyebrows with a smile. The person below should want to see you more than me. When the white-robed man disappeared from the world, the corners of Lu Jing's mouth curled up. Deep Dream followed her and landed on the ground. Mu Chang kept swallowing and tidying up his clothes. At the same time, he also warned Mu Qingtian to perform well. The others also did the same. They didn't dare to slight someone that even the Six Realms patroller had to treat carefully. Your Highness, the young man I chose this time is that one. Yumu pointed at the pale Mu Qingtian. I didn't expect to see you here. Lu Jing ignored Yumu's words and directly walked towards Yi Zichen. To be honest, Yi Zichen had a lot of things he wanted to say to Lu Jing. However, her cold tone and extremely distant actions caused him to swallow all of his words. A heavenly immortal. That's quite the strength. Are you really Lu Jing? Yi Zichen couldn't help but ask. He didn't believe that Lu Jing would speak to him like that. Of course, I still have to thank you for the celestial physique that you molded for me, allowing me to live like a fish in water in the god realm. Lu Jing smiled and said, I owe you for this. As soon as she finished speaking, a golden fruit appeared in her hand. This is the holy fruit that the God King bears once every several 100,000 years. I'll give it to you as repayment for your kindness. Your Highness, Yumu frowned and said, His Majesty left it for you to use when you break through to the Sky Supreme stage. Do I need it? Lu Qing's eyes were filled with indifference. With my talent, can a Heavenly Supreme stop me? I won't. Deep Dream shook her head repeatedly. Lu Jing smiled with satisfaction and handed the golden fruit forward. Take it. Yi Zichen's gaze never left Lu Jing's eyes. He didn't understand why Lu Qing would become like this. Why are you looking at me? Are you still thinking about what I said? I admit that I really liked you before I went to the God Realm, but I can only blame myself for being too inexperienced. Only when I arrived in the God Realm did I realize that there are many people better than you. Perhaps you don't know this, but if I wanted to get married, the young geniuses of the God World's 36 divine regions would all come to snatch me away. They're all stronger than you, be it in terms of strength or status. Lu Qing pursed her lips and smiled. Yi Zichen moved his lips for a long time, then let out a sigh. It's good that you're doing well. I'll leave this holy fruit to you. Resurrecting you is just a promise I made to you. It's not a favor. It's fine if you don't want it. Lu Jing put away the holy fruit with a smile, then looked towards the sickly Mu Qingtian. Twin souls. He is indeed a good seedling, but his main body is too weak, so he won't be able to do much. Deep Dream, you made a mistake this time. Your Highness, you mean, forget about him. In terms of talent, Yi Zichen is over 100 times better than him. Let's just pretend that we didn't find any geniuses this time. Let's go back. Understood. The rainbow bridge landed on the ground. Lu Jing was the first to step onto it, while Deep Dream followed closely behind. Yi Zichen, no matter what you think, I still owe you my life. Yi Zichen smiled, then saw Zhuo Mo twitch her mouth. Yi Zichen, no matter what you think, I still owe you my life. Zhuo Mo couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Just how many women do you have around you? But you sure know a lot. You've even hooked up with the highnesses of the God Realm. Stop joking. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, then glanced at Mu Chengtian and Mu Cheng. Mu Cheng's expression turned even more terrible when he heard Lu Jing say that the God Realm didn't want Mu Chengtian. The same was true for Zhua Hongxin. He had thought that Yi Zichen was going to be a scam. Zhua Hongda laughed. He raised his eyebrows as he looked at Zhua Hongxin and Mu Cheng meaningfully. It seems like it's all for naught. Brother Zhua, Mu Cheng walked over with a smile. Mu Cheng walked over with an apologetic smile on his face. He raised his eyebrows and said, I was being rude just now. Look at the marriage between our two families. Didn't you say that you're going to marry my second brother? That's great. Zhua Hongda smiled towards Mo and Yi Zichen. Let's go. Let's go. Let's give them some time to discuss the engagement. Zhua Hongxin squinted his eyes with a frown when Yi Zichen and company left. This Zhua Hongda is truly cocky. Yeah, Mu Cheng snorted. He really thinks too highly of himself. I heard that the younger generation of the Treasure Tower is going to compete for the position of Tower Head very soon. Yes. Zhua Hongda and Zhua Mo won't be able to do anything when our families get married. The position of Tower Head will definitely be Qingqing's. Then I'll borrow Brother Mu's auspicious words. Zhua Hongxin couldn't help but smile. Mu Cheng nodded, then patted Zhua Hongxin's shoulder. Let's go. Let's think about how to make Zhua Hongda suffer a huge setback. Lu Jing walked at the front of the Rainbow Bridge, while Yumu followed behind her for a long time with a complicated expression. Your Highness, what is it? Lu Qing said without looking back. Deep Dream pursed his lips and said, You should treat that guy just now. There's no need to ask that in the future. Lu Jing stopped and looked at the clouds below the Rainbow Bridge. Chapter 636. Betrothals with Qingqing and Mu Chengtian's engagement was held without anyone's blessing. It could be seen that Zhua Hongxin and Mu Cheng were truly prepared to work together and use their power to change the Treasure Tower's future Tower Master fight. Since both sides were wealthy families, there were naturally a lot of people who came. The city lords of the 6 cities in the outer regions of the Immortal Realm were all present. The heads of the 6 pavilions and 3 gates also came one after another. Even if some of them couldn't make it in time, there were still people who could represent them here. It's quite lively here. Why are you here? Mo sipped from a cup of wine in a corner of the venue. You're still drinking? Don't tell me that you're still a little sad about Mu Chengtian marrying Zhua Qingqing. Yi Zichen smiled. He was definitely joking. Even an idiot could tell how Zhua Mo felt about Mu Chengtian. However, Zhua Mo remained silent. Yi Zichen, who had just poured himself a cup of wine, couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Could it be that I was right? What are you talking about? Zhua Mo laughed angrily. Then, she pouted at the 2 people who were surrounded by everyone. They're a perfect match. A pair of dogs forever. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. Your expression is quite apartment. Zhua Mo couldn't help but smile. Why are you interested in watching their engagement? Didn't you say that the sacred land of the immortal region wants you to go? Why am I in such a hurry? Yi Zichen couldn't help but twitch his mouth. They're telling me to go. How about they send an 8-person palanquin over? Then I'll just obediently send myself over. I'm also a person who wants to save face. Just yesterday, Yi Zichen received a sound transmission from Great Emperor Qingming, who asked him to come to the immortal region for a chat. At that time, his expression was disdain. Putting aside the matter of face, he had been in the 3 realms for so long, yet he didn't even know what kind of damned place the immortal region's sacred land was. Even if he wanted to go, how could he? Fine, you want to save face. So Mo smiled, then picked up the wine cup with a dark expression and started to drink by herself. Yi Zichen looked her up and down, then couldn't help but ask, What's on your mind? This isn't like you. You make it sound like you know me very well. Zhua Mo smiled. Of course. In my mind, Zhua Mo is like Wu Zetian, a proper queen. You should always look down on everything with a disdainful gaze. Drinking alone like this isn't like you. Although Zhua Mo didn't know who Wu Zetian was, she still couldn't help but giggle. That's more like it. She's a pretty girl, but if she keeps putting on a sullen face, she won't look good anymore. I was born beautiful. No matter what, I'm always beautiful. Zhua Mo squinted her eyes and smiled. Yi Zichen nodded without refuting her. Since that's the case, can you tell me what's bothering you? Actually, it's not that important. Mo raised her cup and swirled it a few times. Her gaze lingered on the center of the engagement ceremony, but Yi Zichen knew that she wasn't paying attention to the main character of the ceremony. Zhuo Qingsheng and Mu Chengtian's marriage means that my second uncle has the support of the entire Mu family. You should know that the leader of the treasure tower will be chosen from the younger generation soon. Zhuo Mo hesitated. Zhuo Mo wanted to say something, but then hesitated. Yi Zichen wasn't stupid, so he naturally understood what she wanted to say. Zhuo Qingsheng is a threat to you? Sort of. Zhuo Mo nodded. Zhuo Mo nodded. Look at the elders wearing the treasure tower's attire over there. They're all senior elders of our treasure tower. They were neutral before, but when they heard that Zhuo Qingsheng and Mu Qingtan got engaged, they all switched sides to her side. It seems like they didn't grasp the direction of the wind. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. How could that be? Zhuo Mo raised her eyebrows. These seniors are all smart people. Since they didn't choose to stay out of trouble and chose a side, they should have chosen a side. Since they didn't choose to stand on their own, that means that they're completely confident that they will stand on the right side. Then you're giving up on yourself just like that. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Naturally not. So Mo stood up from the chair and stretched lazily. No matter what, I have to fight for it, whether it's for the treasure tower's future or for my life. What Zhuo Mo wanted to express was very clear. If Zhuo Qingsheng became the master of the treasure tower, there would be no place for her in the Zhuo family or even the entire outer immortal region. In order to survive, she had to fight for it. Yi Zichen had seen plenty of the internal struggles of large families. However, he was completely confident in Zhuo Mo. Even if Zhuo Mo really lost, he still had a trump card to turn the tables. Of course, he wouldn't say it out loud. The chassis should only be used at the most crucial moment. Wasn't it the most exciting? Elder sister, why are you here? Just now, Sky Bearing and I were looking for you. At this moment, Zhuo Qingsheng walked over while holding onto Mu Qingtian's arm. No one knew if it was because of joy or something else, but the sickly invalid's pale face actually had a tinge of red. There were also many young talents following behind them. Most of these people were from large clans or forces, and they were representative or had the ability to rally the younger generation. Elder sister, why are you here? Sky Bearing and I were looking for you just now. Zhuo Qingsheng smirked. Yi Zichen didn't know what sort of tricks were hidden beneath that foxy smile. Before coming to the engagement ceremony, Zhuo Honda had told Zhuo Mo not to cause any trouble. She also understood that it wouldn't be good for her if they argued in this sort of situation. In order to avoid any conflict, she chose to ignore them with a faint smile, then turned around to leave. Elder sister, this is little sister's engagement ceremony. Although we aren't biological sisters, we've lived together in this compound for 20-something years. Shouldn't you wish your little sister well? Of course, Zhuo Mo smiled. I hope the two of you can grow old together, be of one heart forever, live happily together for 100 years, have children soon, and live as long as the southern mountains. See, is that enough? Little sister thanks big sister here, Zhuo Mo smiled. Zhuo Qingsheng's expression did not change. She merely smiled and looked towards Yi Zichen. I'm not very educated. Zhuo Mo said all the words I could think of. What am I supposed to do? How about this? I wish the two of you. Z's, I wish the two of you. I wish you happiness in your future marriage. With that, Yi Zichen glanced at Mu Qingtian's lower body a few times. Yi Zichen, Mu Qingtian's expression darkened. Yi Zichen subconsciously took a step back and shrugged. What? I'm just thinking for you. If the Mu family ends in your generation, then aren't you going to be the scapegoat? You. Mu Qingtian's pale face turned red in anger. Zhuo Qingsheng smiled, then pulled his arm. No matter what, everyone is wishing me well. No matter what, everyone is giving me their blessings. How can you be angry? Then, she nodded towards Yi Zichen. Chapter 637. Hidden Hero Provocation. Yi Zichen remained silent for a moment. Is there something wrong with this woman's head? Someone wanted to see him? Through her? Tell whoever wants to see me to come and find me. I'm too lazy to move. Yi Zichen sat down on the chair and smiled lazily at Zhuo Qingqiang. The chief of the leisure house is quite arrogant. A sneer resounded in everyone's ears. Zhuo Qingqiang and the others moved aside when they heard it. Yi Zichen looked up and saw senior brother Yin of the 100 Flowers Gate walk out of the crowd. Brother Yin. The people around him cupped their hands towards him. For this engagement, this senior brother Yin had put on a rather eye-catching outfit. But this set of silk and satin clothes always looked so out of place on him. Senior brother Yin nodded coldly and arrogantly. He did not put this group of people in his eyes at all. Seeing his expression, the young geniuses didn't dare to say anything. Yin Xiong's position in the 100 Flowers Gate was equivalent to the second chief disciple of the sect. In the future, he would have a chance to run for the position of 100 Flowers Gate sect leader, even though he was a man. Yin Xiong walked through the crowd and stood in front of Yi Zichen, then smiled at him with a condescending gaze. "I'm here." Yi Zichen's expression stiffened, then he raised his eyebrows. "We've met before." Yin Xiong's expression changed. He felt that he had lost face in front of so many people. "Zhuo Qingqiang, who is this person? Is he the one looking for me?" "I don't know him." Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. Zhuo Qingqiang walked in between the two of them with a smile and introduced them. "This is Hunter Blossoms. Don't pretend, kid. I'm Li Jiai's senior brother, Yin Xiong. We met at the 100 Flowers Gate's teleportation formation that day." Yin Xiong interrupted Zhuo Qingqiang and squinted his eyes at Yi Zichen. Zhuo Qingqiang maintained her smile and retreated to the side. Yi Zichen also scratched his head and thought for a long time before coming to a realization. "You? Sorry, I don't usually remember small fries." Hiss. The surrounding geniuses couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Just who was this young man? He actually dared to say that Yin Xiong was a small character. Yin Xiong also clenched his fist. Soon after, he pursed his lips and laughed softly. "Leisure House's sect leader, you sure talk big. It doesn't matter if your breath is big. As long as your breath is fresh, that's enough. For example, you ate garlic just now, didn't you? You sure have a strong tone." Yi Zichen crossed his legs and smiled. Yin Xiong also pursed his lips into a smile. "What's the point of talking big? I came looking for you for a simple reason. I was worried that you'd forget to look for my junior apprentice sister again, so I came specifically to teach you a lesson. I also want to see how strong the Leisure House's sect master is." The atmosphere in the surroundings changed. With Yin Xiong at the center, waves of terrifying pressure were released from his surroundings. Middle stage, heaven immortal. He did have some skill. Yi Zichen sighed helplessly, then shrugged and stood up from the chair. "You want to fight me?" Yin Xiong nodded. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and looked towards Zhuo Qingqiang. "This is your engagement ceremony. Do you want us to fight? Both of you are powerful people. How could this little girl dare to influence your thoughts?" Zhuo Qingqiang smiled. "To be honest, this girl really knows how to talk, and she's very shrewd. She doesn't want to offend either of them, and it doesn't matter who wins." "So difficult." Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. "Say me, as the sect leader, fighting with a junior like you isn't glorious even if I win, and it's even more embarrassing if I lose. You really think you're the sect leader?" Yin Xiong snickered. "Your tiny leisure house isn't even worth a hall in our 100 Flowers Gate." "Oh." Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. "If you're scared, then admit your wrongs. I can be magnanimous and let you go." Yin Xiong squinted his eyes mockingly. Yi Zichen tilted his head and glanced at Zhuo Emo. "This guy is rather famous in the outer regions of the immortal region, right?" "He's rather famous among the younger generation." Zhuo Emo nodded. "Fine. Since my leisure house isn't that famous yet, it's fine for this grandson to be my stepping stone. But you guys have to be my witnesses. This grandson was the one who messed with me. I injured him and crippled him. Seniors of the 100 Flowers Gate, please don't cause trouble for me." Yi Zichen glanced at the surrounding people with a smile, then turned towards Yin Xiong. "Find a place. Find a place. It's a bit ungentlemanly to fight at someone's engagement ceremony, right?" Yin Xiong wanted to fight there in the first place. He had absolute confidence in his own strength. He wanted to crush Yi Zichen under his feet quickly and embarrass him in front of everyone. Everyone who was present was someone of status in the outer regions of the immortal region. If Yi Zichen was beaten down, then he might never be able to raise his head again. However, Yi Zichen's words made sense. If he fought forcefully there, then it would seem ungentlemanly. The Zhou family has a training field. How about we go there? Zhou Qingcheng asked. Sure, lead the way. Yin Xiong nodded indifferently. Zhou Qingcheng smiled, then walked in front of them. Yin Xiong followed behind her without even turning his head, as if turning his head was an insult to him. He was going to continue forward. Zhou Mo, help us advertise it and tell everyone to go and watch. I'm going to use this chance to make Leisure House famous. No problem, but Yin Xiong isn't weak. Aren't you afraid? What am I afraid of? Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. He's strong in the eyes of others, but he's just a little brother in my eyes. At the Zhou family's training field, as Zhou Mo spread the news of the fight, more and more people heard about it and rushed over to watch the show. Yin Xiong couldn't help but snort when he saw the crowd. It seems like you won't be able to survive in the outer regions of the immortal region in the future. Your leisure house is going to be ridiculed. You're so confident. Yi Zichen smiled in surprise. One move is enough to deal with you. Yin Xiong raised a finger, his tone indifferent. Yi Zichen smiled and shrugged. I have an old friend who's so arrogant. I have an old friend who is as arrogant as you. Now, his grave is full of green grass. Make your move. I want to see just how strong that move of yours is. Oh yeah, if I can block that move of yours, does that mean I win? Sure. Yin Xiong smiled proudly. Yin Xiong smiled proudly. Many people praised him for his heroism, while some even said that Yi Zichen was too weak. Yi Zichen merely smiled in response. Words were just words at most. Fists were the hard truth. Come. Yi Zichen hooked his finger towards Yin Xiong. Yin Xiong squinted his eyes. Your spiritual energy. Do I need it against you? The smile on Yi Zichen's face gradually disappeared, replaced by coldness. Chapter 638. Taking down the enemy in one move, ridiculous. Yin Xiong raised his hand up high, and an immortal sword pierced through the air and landed in his hand. This was given to him by his master before he came to the engagement ceremony. It was mainly for his protection on the road. Of course, there was also the suspicion that he wanted to save face. The celestial sword's name was Severing Emotion, and it was refined by his master to sever his emotions and desires. Its grade was above the celestial grade and below the divine artifact. It could be called the number 1 sword below the divine artifact. Especially since the immortal sword was of the lightning attribute. People with lightning attribute physique could use it to increase their strength by 30%. The hidden hero physique was of the thunder attribute. Whoosh, the dark clouds in the sky gradually gathered, and glaring lightning flashed in the thunderclouds. The body of the sword flashed with lightning. Yin Xiong grabbed the hilt of the sword with both hands, and bolts of profound lightning fell from the sky. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Ear-piercing lightning bolts crisscrossed and fell, and the immortal sword also turned silvery white under the influence of the lightning. As expected of the hidden hero, his strength has already surpassed the older generation. That's right. His skill in manipulating lightning can be said to have reached the pinnacle. The 100 Flowers Gate truly has a chance of rising to prominence. I've heard that the chief disciple of their sect is also a stunning genius. In just a few short months, he went from a false spirit body to a perfected human immortal. There's hope for the 100 Flowers Gate to rise again. The spectators around them were discussing among themselves, but the focus of their discussion was no longer on the outcome of the match. Yin Xiong's strength was already at the intermediate heaven immortal stage, and after using the emotion-severing technique, he seemed to have reached the advanced heaven immortal stage. The thunderstorm within the thunderclouds was rather terrifying. Even a high-level heaven immortal would have a hard time defending against it. Then he looked at Yi Zichen, who was standing opposite Yin Xiong. Even now, Yin Xiong couldn't sense any fluctuations of spiritual energy. He must have been scared silly. He just didn't know if the Zhou family or the Mu family would step in to stop him. Otherwise, someone might die. Not bad. Yi Zichen crossed his arms and clicked his tongue as he looked at the thunderclouds in the sky. What he paid more attention to was the celestial sword in Yin Xiong's hand. After Yin Xiong grasped the sword, his aura increased. At this level, It was very difficult to find a magic treasure that could increase one's spiritual power. From the looks of it, his compatibility with this celestial sword is very high. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance. At that moment, Yin Xiong's eyes flashed with electricity. He looked at Yi Zichen and roared. If you're afraid, then beg for mercy. Don't lose your life trying to be a hero. It seemed that he had finished charging up his spiritual technique. There was a thunder lightning ball with a diameter of 10 meters above their heads. Electric snakes flicked their tongues around the thunderbolt ball. Even the spectators couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. In response, Yi Zichen hooked his finger at him once more. Then don't blame me. With that, Yin Xiong swiped his sword with his right hand and pointed at Yi Zichen. Heavenly Dipper Dark Thunder Explosion. Rumble. Thunder resounded through the sky, and the thunderstorm in the sky suddenly fell to the ground. Zhua Hongxin shook his head. That junior Yin Xiong actually became so strong. Hurry up and get into formation. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences of accidentally injuring the guests. Zhua Hongda frowned and roared at Zhua Hongxin. Only then did Zhua Hongxin react. He quickly ordered the treasure tower's elders and guest chamberlains to set up a seal around the training field. 10-odd Sky immortal level experts worked together to form a formation to trap the thunderstorm within. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded out from within the formation. At that moment, the Sky Immortals' expressions darkened. However, in order to ensure the safety of the people around them, they gritted their teeth and continued to maintain the barrier. The huge commotion also shocked the spectators. Seeing that, Mu Chantian couldn't help but snicker. He's seeking death. If I don't blow him up this time, there won't even be a speck of dust left. Say that again if you dare. Mo turned around with a cold expression. Mu Qingtian gulped. Actually, he was rather afraid of Mo. Qing Sheng pulled him back, then walked up with her chest puffed out and squinted her eyes. Big sis, little sis really can't stand watching you being so fierce. No matter what, Cheng Tian is my future husband. Yi Zichen was right. Let me tell you guys, you better pray that nothing happens to Yi Zichen. Otherwise, even you guys won't be able to get involved. Yes, I'm threatening you guys. Really, don't push me too far. My reputation wasn't built up by others. Zhua Mo's eyes were filled with a cold light. Zhua Qingsheng felt a chill down her spine. Zhua Mo's eyes were filled with coldness. This was the first time she had seen Zhua Mo act like this after fighting with her for so long. At the very least, Zhua Mo was able to maintain her rationality when fighting before, but this time, her eyes were filled with madness. There shouldn't be any problems, right? All of a sudden, Zhua Qingqing's aura weakened slightly. Zhua Mo snorted. That better be the case. Otherwise, you guys in the 100 Flowers Gate can just wait to be buried with him. What a pity, he's a pretty good seedling. I really don't know how many times I've killed a genius already. This is such a pleasant feeling. Yin Xiong turned around indifferently. Yin Xiong turned his head back indifferently. The aftershocks of the thunderstorm gradually dissipated. He waved his hand towards the people who were setting up the seals outside, signaling them to disperse. However, at that very moment, a figure slowly walked out from the smoke of the thunderstorm. Laozi's hairstyle was ruined by you just like that. Yi Zichen patted the blood crystals on his body. Yi Zichen patted the blood crystals on his body. He had already summoned the blood crystal armor when the lightning appeared. As for why he didn't use the swirling flash armor, there were plenty of experts here, and there were plenty of people with sharp eyes. He was wearing a divine artifact and wandering around here. An ordinary man's wealth would become his own ruin. If he was robbed, he wouldn't even be able to find a reason to cry. He actually didn't die. The spectators couldn't help but exclaim. Zhua Mo also revealed a joyful smile. He didn't die. Mu Qingtian couldn't help but mutter, but he quickly shut his mouth when he felt Zhua Mo's cold gaze. Actually, the person who was the most shocked was Yin Xiong. He had used his full strength. This brat actually managed to defend himself, and from the looks of it, he wasn't injured. What about me? If you want to fight, then fight. Why did you ruin my hairstyle? F***CK. Do you know how much a bottle of hair wax costs? I use an entire box of it in the morning, and you shock my hair. Yi Zichen continued to play with his hair with a frown. I had planned to just defend against that, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to take revenge on my dead hairstyle. With that, it was as if Yi Zichen had teleported away. In the blink of an eye, he returned to his original spot. How? Are so strong? The spectators did not manage to see what happened. All they saw was Yin Xiong fall to the ground with bulging eyes. Chapter 639. To the Holy Land one move to subdue the enemy. Yi Zichen smiled as he looked at Yin Xiong, who slowly fell to the ground. He must have been rather angry when he heard that. He'd vowed to defeat Yi Zichen in one move, but the outcome had been completely reversed. The surrounding spectators also sighed inexplicably. Luo Wei, who had been helping to maintain the formation, sighed faintly. He frowned at Yi Zichen a few times, then shook his head without any other reaction. Yin Xiong won't. Mu Cheng and Zhou Hongxin walked over and asked cautiously. Yin Xiong was a member of the younger generation who had a lot of charisma in the 100 Flowers Gate. He was here in place of his elders. If anything happened to him, it would be hard for them to explain themselves. When he saw their nervous expressions, Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile. He won't die, but it seems like he will have to lie in bed for a few days. That's good. Zhou Hongxin kept repeating this sentence. At the same time, he called for a waiter to bring Yin Xiong, who was lying on the ground, to a guest room to rest. At that moment, Zuemo also ran over excitedly. Tears could be seen in her eyes. Yi Zichen, you scared me just now. You don't trust me at all? It's just a small occasion. Yi Zichen caressed her hair. Zhou Qingsheng and Mu Chantan also walked over with a smile. My older sister was very worried about you. I wonder when she'll be able to attend your wedding. You don't have to worry about that. Zuemo squinted her eyes at Zhou Qingsheng. Zhou Qingsheng didn't want to be snubbed either, so she raised her eyebrows and left. Brother Yi, I thought it was already good enough that I was able to find my fortune in Mount Supreme. I didn't expect you to become even stronger than me after staying there for so long. Ruan Qingtian, who had not been seen for a long time, walked out from the crowd. Sensing the ripples of spiritual energy around him, it seemed like he had broken through to celestial immortal. Congratulations on becoming a heavenly immortal, Brother Ruan. What's there to be happy about? I was clearly stronger than you in the beginning, but now you've left me far behind. Ruan Qingtian couldn't help but smile wryly. Yi Zichen didn't reply, and merely raised his eyebrows. How is Mount Supreme? What else could it be? It's just like what the senior who took you away said. Mount Supreme's restrictions have been removed, and people without keys can enter. There should be quite a few people trying their luck in Mount Supreme now. Ruan Qingtian smiled. Yi Zichen nodded. Qiu Yuan hasn't come out yet? If he comes out, there will definitely be a heavenly phenomenon, right? No matter what, it's the legacy of a sovereign. Even if he comes out, he should be able to reach the immortal king level. To be honest, I really envy him. But I want to ask you, did you deliberately make that senior say that so that you could give the inheritance to Qiu Yuan? It's not just me, many people are talking about it. Ruan Qingtian was confused. Yi Zichen shook his head with a wry smile. I'm not that kind of person. The chosen one is indeed him. That kid sure is lucky. Ruan Qingtian couldn't help but shake his head. Then, he looked at Zhou Qingsheng and Zuemo with a deep gaze. The two of them actually teamed up. Zuemo, it looks like it's going to be tough for you to become the Tower Master. I really don't care about them. Zuemo was always so strong and confident in front of outsiders. Ruan Qingtian smiled. They had known each other for a long time, so he knew Zuemo's personality very well. Ding dong. The phone in Yi Zichen's pocket rang. He subconsciously reached into his pocket, then smiled towards the two people beside him, before taking out his phone when there was no one else around. However, when he opened his WeChat, there was no message. Did I hear wrongly? Just as Yi Zichen was about to put his phone away, a system notification popped up. System notification. When are you going to the Immortal Region? You actually found me. I naturally have my own plans for going to the Immortal Region. You don't have to keep staring at me like this, right? Can't you give me some space? System notification. Aren't I helping you complete the main quest? How about this? Don't even think about it. I'll help you decide. I'll open a portal to the immortal region later. Then you can directly go over. Yi Zichen was speechless. She's actually helping me decide? Hey, are we that close? System notification. Don't be so formal. What kind of relationship do we have? I definitely won't screw you over, right? There's definitely no problem if you follow my script. Then tell me what I'm going to the immortal region for. Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. I'm not familiar with the people in the immortal region. System notification. Won't you get familiar when you meet? What's more, no matter what, you have to go over to the immortal region. No matter what, you are the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. So what's the point of not going over? System notification. Be good, be obedient, and go. Then tell me what benefits I can get out of it. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes and smiled cunningly. I've been rather obedient the entire time. If you want me to earn cultivation experience, then I'll earn it. I've even done it to earn intimacy level. But I have an insane amount of cultivation experience, so you have to let me spend it, right? System notification. What are you panicking for? There will definitely be a day where you can use your cultivation experience. Insane amount? Even if you include the industrial park in the heavenly court, can you even have 500 million cultivation experience? I don't think so. Yi Zichen thought about it carefully when he saw the system notification. I really don't have 500 million cultivation experience. But even so, this amount of cultivation experience is more than enough to buy the treasures in the treasure shop, right? Why did you tell me to accumulate so much cultivation experience? I want to buy the treasures in the treasure shop. System notification. Buy what? Those aren't of much use to you now, or rather, in the future. Just focus on accumulating cultivation experience. There will definitely be a time where you can use a large amount of cultivation experience. Yi Zichen let out a sigh of relief and believed his bullshit since the system notification seemed to be telling the truth. Ding dong. Just as he was thinking about whether he should go to the immortal region, a red packet suddenly popped up on his phone screen. What kind of dirty tricks are you trying to pull now? Yi Zichen was very wary of the system's red packets due to the myrtle from last time. System notification. What dirty tricks can I play with you? This is your Xinyuan sword. I have already helped you open 50% of the seal. Since I still have some matters to deal with, I can't send it over to you. Put Xinyuan sword into the treasure chest and take it out when you get to the immortal region. Why? System notification. Xinyuan sword is known as the #1 divine artifact of the primordial era. Its divine power is above that of the bell of the East Emperor. If you take out Xinyuan sword with 50% of its seal unlocked, it will definitely attract the attention of the people above. However, it's different if you go to the immortal region. Those people from the upper 3 realms don't dare to think about the divine artifact of the sacred land of the immortal region. Oh, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but frown. What kind of magical place is there in the sacred land of the immortal region? It actually caused the people of the upper 3 realms to system notification. Don't ask about things you shouldn't know. There's no time to explain. Go to the sacred land. The moment the message appeared, a pitch-black gate appeared in front of Yi Zichen. Chapter 640. Taoist Apprentice, the Heavenly Court, Underworld, and Immortal Region were collectively known as the 3 lower realms. The Heavenly Court was at the top, and the Underworld was at the bottom. Some people might simply think that the Immortal Region was in the middle. In fact, that was not the case. For the Immortal Domain to be able to form its own realm, it naturally had to have its own special position. As for the Endless Beast region in the middle of the Heavenly Court and the Underworld where humans and Yao resided, it was divided into 2 regions. Immortal Realms, it had its own independent space. System, you're a scammer. Yi Zichen, who just stepped out of the spatial gate, hadn't even had a chance to appreciate the beauty of the Immortal Region's sacred land when he couldn't help but curse. The landing point he gave in the sacred land of the Immortal Region was actually in the sky. Bang! Yi Zichen didn't even have time to react before he slammed into the ground. Even with his sturdy body, his head buzzed. Hey, that kid over there. Yi Zichen, who was rubbing his face, looked up in confusion and saw a middle-aged man in Taoist robes squatting in front of him. You're here to sign up, right? The registration period has already ended, but seeing how badly you've fallen, I'll give you a chance. Yi Zichen was confused. Don't get excited, and don't think about thanking me. Whether or not you can stay in our Taoist temple will depend on your luck. However, you are indeed a little old. Don't even think about becoming an inner disciple. Work hard to become an outer disciple. The middle-aged man shook his head, then walked forward. Yi Zichen looked at him in shock. When he looked up, he saw nearly 100 young men around his age standing in front of him. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and come over. The middle-aged man waved his hand towards Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen was momentarily stunned, but still nodded. Coming. Yi Zichen was still completely confused as he followed behind the group. What exactly was going on? Didn't he come to the immortal region to meet the leader of the immortal region? How did he become a disciple of some Taoist temple? Also, this Taoist temple was really low class. Everyone just walked forward. Who knew when they would end up? Bro, you're still thinking about cultivation at this age. I'm impressed. At that moment, a shifty-eyed uncle walked over and cupped his hands towards Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen was shocked when he saw the middle-aged man. His face, at least 30 or 40 years old. I think you're the one worthy of respect. You're already so old, yet you still want to be an apprentice. Brother, don't misunderstand. It's just that I'm growing a bit faster. In terms of age, we're actually about the same. The shifty-eyed uncle chuckled and said, Let me tell you, at our age, it's very difficult for us to attract the attention of the sect's elders. I think you should be following the example of an outer disciple, right? What a coincidence, so am I. Let's get to know each other in advance so that we can take care of each other. Whether or not I get chosen is another matter, Yi Zichen shrugged. He didn't come here to be a Taoist child. Don't worry. The competition for the inner disciples might be more intense, but we'll definitely be able to get into the outer disciples. The uncle solemnly vowed as he patted his chest. Before coming here, I've already asked around. Recently, the higher-ups have issued an order for all the sects to recruit disciples. It seems to be to prevent something from coming. No matter what it is, we're lucky. We're the first batch, so we'll definitely be able to get in. When that happens, even if we're only an outer disciple, we'll be able to get the villagers to call us Lord Immortal when we return to our own village. That'll be great. Is that so? Yi Zichen smiled. The uncle also spoke up once again. Look at my head. Look at my head. We still don't know what to call each other, right? Chui Fugue, it's a bit lame. My parents wanted me to live a rich life, so they gave me this name. Bro, what's your name? Yi Zichen. Then Brother Yi. We're getting to know each other now. When we enter the outer sect, we have to help each other out. I heard that there are a lot of small gangs in the outer sect, so us newbies have to advance and retreat together. Silence at the back. A shout sounded out from the front of the group. Chui Fugue, who had been muttering, quickly shut his mouth, but he still continuously gave Yi Zichen a meaningful glance. Approximately 4 hours later, the group finally stopped after Yi Zichen had no idea how far they had walked. Those who want to enter the outer sect, stand on the left. Those who want to enter the inner sect, stand on the right. Whoosh! 90% of the group stood on the right, while Xing Ling and a few others walked to the outer sect. Most of the people in the group were rather old. If they couldn't compete to become an inner sect disciple, who wouldn't want to go to the inner sect? The one in the middle, where do you want to go? Yi Zichen scratched his chin. Him coming here was a misunderstanding. Bro, what are you blanking out for? Come over. Chui Fugue continuously waved towards him. Yi Zichen scratched his nose, then thought about how he wouldn't know what to do even if he left, so he walked towards the outer sect disciples. That's more like it. Bro, don't tell me that you want to go to the inner sect just now. Look at what kind of people are in the inner sect. I heard that they have a genius with water attribute heaven spiritual root, who reached the complete stage of the human immortal level at the age of 13. He's definitely going to become a true inheritor. Being an inner sect disciple that can't become a true inheritor is nothing much. It's not as good as being in the outer sect, Chui Fugue blabbered on. Chui Fugue blabbered on and on. Yi Zichen nodded with a faint smile and didn't say anything. Outer sect disciples, follow senior brother Hu. Inner sect disciples, follow me. With that, the black-robed man led the group of people away. Senior brother Hu was also the middle-aged man who let Yi Zichen in, smiled towards the candidates for the outer sect disciple position. Everyone is a stubborn person. You don't know that I was the same back then. Don't be discouraged. As long as you work hard in the outer sect, you will still have a chance to stand out. I also came out as an outer sect disciple back then, and I'm still at the complete stage of the human immortal level. Although my strength is only below average in the inner sect, I can at least be considered as an immortal, Senior Brother Who smiled. Senior Brother Who smiled faintly. Many people standing on the side of the outer sect disciples secretly clenched their fists, and a flame ignited in their eyes. Senior Brother Who nodded in satisfaction when he saw their confidence. The entrance test for us outer sect disciples is much easier than the inner sect disciples. Do you see the cave in front of us? Go in later and take out 2 of the herbs in my hands. With that, a 4-leaved red herb appeared in Senior Brother Who's hands. As he spoke, a 4-leaved red herb appeared in Senior Brother Who's hand. This herb usually grows near the caves of scaled snakes. Scaled snakes aren't poisonous, and they aren't particularly aggressive. They aren't even considered demonic beasts, so you don't have to worry about your safety. Everyone nodded. Senior Brother Who also nodded with a smile. I will wait here for you to come out. As long as you can take out 2 medicinal herbs, it will be considered that you have passed the outer sect assessment. When the time comes, I will send all of you into our Taoist temple. Keep this psychic jade slip well. When you encounter danger, crush it, and I'll teleport to your side. However, it will also mean that you've failed the mission. Do you understand? Understood. The people around him answered in unison. Chapter 641. Chapter 641. Gathering herbs. The group of people put in a lot of effort in order to become outer sect disciples of Yonghe Temple and continuously search for the location of the 4-leaf spiritual herb. Of course, there were also people who didn't work hard, such as Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen wandered aimlessly through the cave, his mind filled with ridicule as he strolled lazily through the area. What on earth did he come here for? How did he end up doing this job for no reason? Bro, hurry up. The earlier we get out, the higher our evaluation will be. Although outer sect disciples don't have many resources, if we perform outstandingly amongst our peers, then we will definitely get more resources. Chui Fugue's eyes lit up as he continuously looked around the walls and the corners of the cave in search of the 4-leaf clover. Brother Chui, don't mind me. Go find yours. I'll just leave it up to fate. If I can't find it, then I'll just not join the temple. Yi Zichen shrugged. He really wasn't interested in the temple. What are you saying? Yonghe Temple only accepts disciples once every 3 years. 3 years for immortals pass by in a blink of an eye. But how many years do we mortals have? You want to give up after coming so far? Bro, although we just met by chance, I feel like we're fated to meet. Don't be afraid. If I can really find the 4-leaf clover, then I'll definitely find yours as well. Let's go out together. Chui Fugue was very kind, but Yi Zichen only sighed silently. Ignoring everything else, the inner sect disciples were only of the human immortal level, and they had already been in the temple for a long time. He was a sky immortal and was quite a talent in the 3 realms. Isn't it a joke for me to become an outer sect disciple in this temple? Even if I really find the 4-leaf clover, I didn't come here to enter the temple. What's more, the sect master of this temple definitely isn't someone to be trifled with. Since he found out that I, a sky immortal expert, came to become an outer sect disciple, wait, that's not right. It's good that he found out. The system didn't tell me how to find Great Emperor Qingming and company. I'll start from this temple, then cause some trouble and cause those people to come and find me. Yes, that's a good idea. They want to trouble me? Huh. As he considered this, the corners of Yi Zichen's mouth curled up, and he nodded with an enlightened expression. Brother Chui is right. I was thinking of Senior Brother Who just now. He had relied on his willpower to climb up step by step. However, who knew how much he had suffered? I was disheartened. However, Brother Chui's words have enlightened me. We've already come this far, and there's no reason to give up. That's right. Chui Fugue grinned and frowned as he looked at the deep cave. As expected of a cave where snakes live, there are too many forks. I wonder where the 4-leaf clover is. I know. Brother Chui, come with me. Yi Zichen smiled, then walked forward. Chui Fugue was stunned for a moment. when he saw that Yi Zichen was about to reach the fork. Although he was suspicious as to how he knew the location, he still followed. "Brother Yi, you're amazing. How did you know?" After approximately 7 or 8 crossroads, Yi Zichen and Shui Fugue arrived at the location of the four-leaved herb. The ground and the corners of the walls were covered in four-leaved herbs. Not far away, a group of snakes stuck out their tongues and stopped 10-odd meters away, not daring to go forward at all. I've read about the living environment of snakes in an ancient book before. I thought about the possible locations, so I came. I didn't think that I would actually run into one. Yi Zichen chuckled and pushed the blame to the ancient book. Yi Zichen chuckled and pushed the blame onto the ancient book. Nobody knew the contents of the ancient book, so his words wouldn't arouse any suspicions. Old Shui truly got lucky. I actually got to know Brother Yi. If I just randomly walked around, who knows when I would be able to get here? Shui Fugue couldn't help but laugh. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. "Hurry up and gather the herbs." "Let's hurry up and gather the herbs. Didn't you say that the earlier we leave, the better?" Yeah, look at my memory." Shui Fugue patted his head and quickly gathered the herbs. At the same time, Yi Zichen also crushed the jade tablet that Senior Brother who gave him. "Are you guys going to give up?" Or Senior Brother who appeared in front of him. When he saw the herbs on the ground, as well as the ones in Shui Fugue's hands, he couldn't help but shake his head with a smile. "It seems like you guys succeeded." "Yeah, we succeeded." "Senior Brother who, do we count as outer sect disciples now?" Shui Fugue kept nodding his head. Senior Brother who smiled non-committally. Senior Brother who smiled. "Naturally, wait for everyone else to come out or give up. I'll take you guys to report to the outer sect elders. Then you guys will be outer sect disciples of Yonga Temple." "Yay!" Shui Fugue clenched his fist. "I got those guys in the village to look down on me. When I go back, they'll have to call me Lord Celestial." "You can't think like that," Senior Brother who said sullenly. Senior Brother who put on a straight face and said in a deep voice, "Once you step into the Celestial sect, you'll be able to transcend the ranks of mortals. Cultivating in Yongha Taoist Temple is to defend against enemies and protect your home. You can't use celestial spells to fool mortals." Senior Brother who is right. Shui Fugue lowered his head. Shui Fugue lowered his head, while Yi Zichen watched on with a faint smile. Senior Brother who looked towards him, while Yi Zichen nodded back with a smile. "It seems like you were fated with the Celestials. You finally entered the Celestial Gate." "It's all thanks to Senior Brother who," Yi Zichen said respectfully. "All right, let's not stay here anymore. I'll take you guys out now and wait for news from the others." At that moment, Senior Brother whose jade tablet lit up. Someone actually shattered a jade tablet again. "I'll send you guys out first." After sending Yi Zichen and Shui Fugue out of the cave, Senior Brother who quickly went back into the cave. Shattering the jade tablet could mean getting into danger, or it could also mean completing the mission. Due to the possibility of getting into danger, he couldn't stay too long with Yi Zichen and company. As expected of a deity, they can fly around, Shui Fugue said enviously. "There should be a spatial point in this cave. That's why he can travel through the cave. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do it with his cultivation level." Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. Shui Fugue looked at him. "How did you know?" "I spilled the beans." Yi Zichen's heart skipped a beat. Then he smiled frantically. "I read it in an ancient book." The ancient book actually recorded this. "I wonder if Brother Yi brought the ancient book with you? I want to read it as well," Shui Fugue said. I left it at home. I'll come back and get it for you when I have time." "All right, then you have to show it to me." After finally getting Shui Fugue over, Yi Zichen started to think about how to attract the attention of those guys in Yonga Temple. However, at that very moment, a huge explosion sounded out from the cave. "What's going on?" Shui Fugue was shocked by the huge sound. When he turned around, he saw the rocks falling from the cave. Chapter 642. Trial nullified. The trembling of the cave was very strong. Even though Yi Zichen was several tens of meters away, he could still feel it. Shui Fugue stared at the cave. Yi Zichen frowned, then walked towards the cave. "Where are you going?" "To save someone, of course." Yi Zichen replied without thinking. Chui Fugue pulled him back and exclaimed softly, "Do you want to die? We're just two mortals going to save someone. Senior brother who will be fine inside. What's more, this is Yonghe Temple. They'll send people to deal with it." With that, two elders clad in black and white Taoist robes appeared above Yi Zichen's head. They stood in the air. "You, Senior, were the outer sect disciples that came this time. We just finished the outer sect exam and haven't entered the sect yet." Chui Fugue smiled apologetically. "Where's Hu Qing?" the elder asked. "Senior brother who already went in." Chui Fugue nodded and bowed. "It seems like the guys inside are going berserk again. Hu Qing can't deal with them by himself. Let's hurry in." The white-robed elder frowned. The white-robed elder frowned. The black-robed elder nodded, and the two of them entered the cave. "That scared me to death." Chui Fugue patted his chest and panted. Chui Fugue patted his chest and gasped for breath. These two old men are definitely stronger than Senior Brother Hu. That aura just now. Seeing that Yi Zichen did not reply, he raised his eyebrows. "Brother Yi, what are you thinking about?" "Nothing." Yi Zichen shook his head. He had used his spiritual consciousness to check the situation inside the cave. The one that caused the commotion was a green python. It seemed like an aged Yao, although it was only at the mid-stage of the human immortal level. However, with its indestructible scales and strong body, it could at least fight against an early-stage sky immortal. However, the two geezers were both sky immortal experts, so they were able to deal with it easily. However, the green python was a bit strange. Its movements were rather stiff, and it seemed to radiate an aura of death. That caught Yi Zichen's attention. "Hey, I think you got scared by those two geezers." Chui Fugue patted Yi Zichen's shoulder with a smile. "Don't be scared, I won't laugh at you. I'll tell you the truth, I nearly peed my pants when those two geezers came." "Is that so?" Yi Zichen smiled and nodded. His aura is indeed quite strong, as expected of an expert from a cultivation sect. Of course, the Yonghe Taoist Temple is one of the top Taoist temples in the immortal region. I heard that the Taoist Temple sect master is one of the three great emperors, Great Emperor Yonghe. His strength is unparalleled, only below the three sovereigns and 5 emperors. Chui Fugue's expression was filled with yearning, and his pair of rat eyes shone. Wouldn't this status mean endless glory, splendor, and wealth? Any girl would throw herself into his arms. If I could reach that position, you won't be able to succeed with this kind of thinking. Yi Zichen shook his head helplessly. Chui Fugue clearly understood what Yi Zichen meant. Wine and meat pass through the intestines, but Buddha remains in the heart. Even the heavenly court's heavenly canopy marshal can become an immortal, so why can't I be reluctant to part with the prosperity of the mortal world? You seem to have a good root of wisdom. You should go to Buddhism. The two of them chatted like this. After the two old men entered the cave, the commotion in the cave became louder and louder. Then it gradually became softer. Approximately an hour later, Senior Brother Hu walked out with the two elders, while the other outer sect disciples around them all seemed to be scared out of their wits. All of them stared blankly in front of them, as if they were scared out of their wits. Two of them even held onto 4-leaved herbs tightly in their hands. It seemed like entering the outer sect of Yonghe was their obsession. These kids are all scared out of their wits. The white-robed elder shook his head. The black-robed elder snorted. How can they continue on the path of cultivation with just this sort of courage? This sort of small matter? No matter what, they're all mortals. You're asking too much. The white-robed elder shook his head. The white-robed old man appeared to be much more amiable than the black-robed old man. He gently smiled and pointed at the foreheads of those people. The expression of the white-robed elder immediately changed, and they all cried out. The black-robed elder was even more displeased when he saw that. He snorted coldly, then waved his sleeves and left. Hearing that, the surrounding disciples didn't dare to cry out anymore. They secretly glanced at the white-robed elder a few times, then heard him speak. This trial was due to the negligence of the elders, but having so many outer sect disciples is also a burden to Yonghe. How about this? We'll leave the decision of whether you stay or leave to the elders. I'll do as you please, the white-robed elder smiled. The white-robed old man chuckled. Chui Fugue's small eyes rolled twice after hearing this. Old senior. What is it? The elder turned around gently and heard Chui Fugue ask. Then what will happen to us who pass the trial? Of course we'll be treated equally. You will follow me to the elder cabinet to await punishment. Then aren't we at a huge disadvantage? Chui Fugue muttered with furrowed brows. Senior brother who gave him a look, signaling him not to speak carelessly. However, the old man shook his head with a faint smile. If you are fated with the immortal sect, you will naturally stay there. If you're not fated, then you'll be kicked out of the outer sect after a few months. Everything has its own destiny. Don't be angry. Chui Fugue still wanted to retort, but Yi Zichen pulled him, causing him to shut up bitterly. Seeing that he was no longer arguing, the old man said to senior brother Hu Qing, send them to the elder cabinet later. I'll inform the other elders. Yes, Uncle Master. Take care. Hu Qing bowed and sent the old man off. The old man took a few steps and disappeared into the void. Even now, Chui Fugue was still in a bad mood. He had finally found a four-leaved herb with great difficulty, but now he had to make a duplex. What you said just now was a bit too much. Hu Qing walked over and patted Chui Fugue's shoulder. Fortunately, you met Martial Uncle Bai. If you met Martial Uncle He, you would have been slapped to death for talking like that. I just can't accept it. I'm desperately trying to get this herb and play with it. Chui Fugue straightened his neck, his eyes filled with anger. Hu Qing shook his head and smiled. When the time comes, all you need to do is hold this herb in your hands. You will have a four-leaf herb, and when the time comes, the elder cabinet will naturally favor you. Do not panic. Really? Chui Fugue raised his eyebrows. Hu Qing nodded, then smiled towards the surrounding people. Everyone heard what Martial Uncle Bai said just now. Please follow me to the elder cabinet. Hu Qing led Yi Zichen and Chui Fugue to the front of the group on the way to the elder cabinet. Along the way, Chui Fugue continuously looked around in surprise. At that moment, he suddenly noticed the wound on Hu Qing's arm and couldn't help but comfort him. Senior brother Chui, did you get this wound in the cave? Yes. Hu Qing smiled as he covered up the wound on his arm. Actually, the reason why Martial Uncle asked you to go to the elder cabinet was also because of this cave. What do you mean? Chui Fugue didn't understand. Chapter 643. A different script elder cabinet. 9 old men sat in the spacious front hall. They were the 9 elders of Yonghe Temple. They were in charge of the inner sect, outer sect, and discipline. Among them, there was an old man with a square face and unibrow who was sitting in the center. He was wearing a purple robe and was frowning. He had just heard the news of the green-scaled snake's rampage and was very shocked. Ever since the green-scaled snake rampage 100 years ago, there has never been a rampage. Why would it suddenly rampage at this time? Old Black and I went to take a look, snorted the black-robed old man. The green-scaled snake seems to have been frightened. That's why it suddenly rampaged. Frightened? The purple-robed old man hesitated for a moment, then raised his eyebrows. The green-scaled snake is in the depths of the cave, but the four-leaf clover is in the middle of the cave. Moreover, there's a group of iron scale snake before it. How could these kids scare it? Rather than saying it was frightened, it should be saying that it felt that it encountered a powerful enemy, so it woke up from its slumber. That's why it chose to fight, said the white-robed old man suddenly. The black-robed old man glared at him. Heh, old white, I think you're trying to make life difficult for me today. You didn't give me any face in front of the outer sect disciples, and now you're arguing with me in front of your senior brother. What do you mean? Asked the white-robed old man. The black-robed old man frowned. Based on what you just said, the green scale encountered a powerful opponent? Are you talking about those outer sect disciples? They're barely spiritual bodies. What threat can they pose to the green scale? Are you sure they're spiritual bodies? Smiled the white-robed old man. Then are you trying to tell me that there's a sky immortal expert among the outer sect disciples? Isn't it a joke for a sky immortal expert to be an outer sect disciple of Yonghe Temple? Curled the black-robed old man. All right, let's stop talking. The purple-robed old man frowned. We haven't even clarified the problem, and you're already arguing. You're already 100 years old. It's embarrassing to argue with kids. The black-robed and white-robed elders remained silent at the same time. Only then did the purple-robed elder frown. I'll investigate when the outer sect disciples arrive. In front of us is the elders' cabinet. When the time comes, there's no need to be nervous. Just answer their questions truthfully. Hu Qing led the group of disciples to the front of the elders' pavilion. The disciples all nodded their heads, but there was still some nervousness in their eyes. Master, Uncle Master's disciple has brought them here. Hu Qing, you've worked hard. The purple-robed old man nodded indifferently. Hu Qing gave the group of disciples a look of encouragement before walking behind the black-robed old man. Unexpectedly, Hu Qing was actually the black-robed old man's disciple. The difference in their personalities was too great. You are the new batch of outer sect disciples. The people around him all nodded carefully. Even Shui Fugue, who had always been the most noisy, quieted down. I didn't expect there to be so few outer disciples. Looks like there should be even fewer inner disciples. Martial Uncle, the number of inner sect disciples is actually several times that of outer sect disciples, Hu Qing said from the side. The purple-robed old man was stunned for a moment before he smiled and said, "That's rare. It's all because senior apprentice brother spread the word that the inner sect disciples will be given the position of legacy disciple. Senior brother, our inner court elders really have enough true disciples. Aren't you just adding more pressure to us?" The first person to the right of the purple-robed old man could not help but shake his head and sigh. You're still trying to act innocent after getting a bargain. If you think the inner sect is too tiring, then you can come to the outer sect. I'll stay in the inner sect. I've had enough of this godforsaken place. The black-robed old man rolled his eyes, but the burly man wasn't angry. He just pursed his lips and smiled. Sure, if you defeat me during the inner and outer sect transition, I don't mind giving you the position of inner sect elder. Why am I? The black-robed elder slapped his thigh and cursed angrily. The purple-robed elder frowned slightly. Why are you quarreling again? If you keep quarreling, we'll all go to the back mountain and face the wall. TSK. The black-robed elder twitched his mouth and snorted. The purple-robed elder pretended not to hear anything and turned to Yi Zichen's table. This trial was our elder cabinet's negligence. I must apologize to you guys here. No need. Why are you being so courteous? It's fine as long as you can keep us in the outer sect. Nobody said anything. Only Yi Zichen waved his hand like an idiot and giggled. Hu Qing twitched his mouth and muttered in his heart. From what I remember, Yi Zichen isn't someone with this sort of personality. What he didn't know was that Yi Zichen was doing it on purpose. Since I've already gotten to this point, I have to get the elders' attention, right? As long as one of them can detect my sky immortal strength, then the problem will be solved. The spots for outer sect disciples are limited, so it will depend on your immortal fate. The purple-robed elder smiled. Luo Ying. Yes, disciple. In the corner of the front hall, a woman with an excellent figure and a veil over her face walked out. Go and see. Understood. The female disciple slowly walked towards Yi Zichen's group. The disciples below couldn't help but gulp. The only ones whose expressions didn't change were Yi Zichen and Shui Fugue. Not bad. The purple-robed elder nodded with a smile. Before Yi Zichen and company arrived, he had specifically told the female elder to use a bit of charm techniques in order to test the disciples' willpower. The path of cultivation was full of thorns. Talent was important, but willpower was equally important. It was clear that he was very satisfied with Yi Zichen and Shui Fugue's test. Dual spiritual roots of fire and earth. What a pity. If it was fire or wood, then he might be able to learn pill refinement. Dual spiritual roots of water and metal. They're actually spiritual roots that counter each other. It will be very difficult for him to achieve anything great in the future. Metal spiritual root, not bad. The female disciple continuously walked past Yi Zichen and company and pinched their arms as she passed by them, while telling them the attributes of their spiritual roots. When everyone else was done, the girl arrived in front of Yi Zichen and Chui Fugui. The purple-robed elder's gaze also landed on them. If the two disciples had high-grade spiritual roots, then even if they were a bit older, he would still want them to enter the inner sect. However, to everyone's surprise, the girl actually stopped and didn't pinch anyone else's arms like before. It seems like Sire is a person with bad interests as well. The girl smiled softly. The woman smiled gently. Everyone in the front hall, including the elders, were stunned. No one understood why this woman would say such a thing. Yi Zichen, on the other hand, felt a surge of joy in his heart. Does this girl know my strength? Is my identity as a sky immortal expert going to be made public? Just as he was about to nod in agreement, he saw the girl put her hand on Chui Fugui's shoulder with a smile. Ice attribute, mutated heaven, spiritual root, and strength above the sky immortal level. Sire, coming to Yonghe as an outer sect disciple is a bit of a waste, right? What? Yi Zichen was shocked. The girl actually wasn't talking about him. Chui Fugui, F*CK, this is ridiculous. The script isn't supposed to be like this. Chapter 644. The reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. Miss, what are you talking about? Are you saying that I, Chui Fugui, am a heavenly immortal expert? Chui Fugui smiled in astonishment and shook his head. Although I really want to be one of those high and mighty celestial immortals, I'm not. Also, I don't know what you're talking about with the ice attribute and mutated heaven spiritual root. Are you still trying to hide? The woman tilted her head and smiled. Her pitch-black pupils instantly turned purple. In front of me, Luoying, you can't escape. Heavenly immortal. The purple-robed elder frowned. Sakura took a step back and nodded. Master, he is indeed a sky immortal. He can use a secret technique to hide from you, but he can't hide from my Purple Eye clan. Damn, I didn't expect Old Bai's deduction to be correct. The black-robed elder stood up from his chair and raised his eyebrows. A sky immortal actually came to Yonghe to become an outer sect disciple? There must be something wrong with this person's head. Blackie, what you're saying really bothers me. At this point, do you still think he's here to be an outer disciple? The white-robed elder shook his head and sighed. The black-robed elder asked in confusion. Then what else is he doing? Your Excellency, shouldn't you tell me your purpose here? The purple-robed old man stood up from his chair, and a strand of spiritual power slid out from his finger, turning into a line that wanted to bind Chui Fugui. With a faint smile, Chui Fugui raised his hand and knocked down the thread. The corners of his mouth slightly curled up. You don't need to use these little tricks, but I'm really unlucky. I didn't expect to meet the Purple Pupil clan here. Moreover, it's an extremely talented pair of pupils. Lao Chui, didn't lose anything by exposing myself. Chui Fugui twisted his neck and smiled faintly. Soon after, his face gradually transformed into that of a handsome young man. Chui 12. The purple-robed old man was shocked. Yi Zichen expressed his displeasure when they started chattering. According to his script, the person who would be recognized in the main hall should be him. At that time, he would reveal his identity and ask them to find the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. Everything was over. But who the hell is this Chui Fugui? No, he's called Chui the 12 now. No matter what, he was a celestial immortal. That woman was also sick. Couldn't she look at him first? Why did she look at Chui Fugui first? Yi Zichen couldn't help but want to interrupt, but everyone else in the hall acted as if they didn't hear him. All of their attention was focused on Chui 12. F*CK. Yi Zichen cursed inwardly, but he couldn't help but speak up. I'm also a heavenly immortal expert. Can you fellows focus on me? This isn't a place for you to mess around. The purple-clothed old man frowned. Hu Qing, take this group of outer court disciples away. Chui 12 raised his eyebrows, then saw Yi Zichen roll his eyes and let out a long sigh. Who's messing with you? Yi Zichen was on the verge of breaking down. He released the spiritual energy in his body with a frown. Laozi is a sky immortal as well. F*CK. Do you believe me now? Laozi is a sky immortal as well. There was silence in the hall. Hu Qing, who'd wanted to pull Yi Zichen away, abruptly took a few steps back and stared blankly at the two people in front of him. Among the outer sect disciples, he had high hopes for these two, but he didn't expect them to be celestial immortals. Where did another one pop out from? The black-robed elder raised his eyebrows. The purple-clothed old man also raised his eyebrows, then couldn't help but turn to Chui 12. Your Highness Chui, could this person also be no? Chui 12 shook his head. So that's the case. The purple-clothed old man nodded, then ignored Yi Zichen and turned to Chui 12. Your Highness Chui, may I ask why you came to the immortal region? Would you believe me if I said that I came to play? Chui 12 pursed his lips with a smile. But I really didn't expect you to recognize me. It seems like I'm rather famous in the immortal region. How could I not recognize your highness? F*CK. Yi Zichen really wanted to send a black face. What's going on? The two of them started chatting amongst themselves once again. Chui 12 is a sky immortal, but so am I. Why are they treating me so differently? Wait a moment. Yi Zichen frowned. I'm a sky immortal as well. Can you guys give me some face? Oh bye, let this heavenly immortal expert take a seat. Then he smiled at Chui 12. As the 12th majesty of the Four Direction Palace, it's only natural that you have some fame. However, forgive this old man for not believing that your highness came to my immortal region just to play around. Yi Zichen was just about to lose his temper again, but when he heard For Direction's Palace, he stopped. At the same time, the white-robed man walked over and smiled at him. Fellow Taoist, this way please. Yes. Yi Zichen nodded, then followed the white-robed elder to the side and sat down. His gaze remained fixed on Chui 12. For Direction Palace, Deep Dream had mentioned that Lu Qing was also in the Square Palace. Why else would I be here? Chui 12 shrugged. I wanted to experience the life of an immortal sect, but someone exposed my identity. If your highness wants to experience life, you can stay in Yonghe. I can give you the position of the chief elder. The purple-robed elder replied with a smile. Chui 12 shook his head and smiled. Never mind. It's a bit weird for someone to recognize me. Then your highness? The purple-robed elder asked in a testing manner. Chui 12 shrugged. It seems like Brother Yi is rather anxious. How about you guys chat with him? How can he compare to your highness? Yi Zichen clenched his fist, then relaxed it. Fine, the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor, really have no status. I can't compare to the highnesses of the Four Direction Palace. Is that so? I wonder if you'll still say that when Brother Yi says his identity. Chui 12 seemed to know something, and his words seemed to have a deeper meaning. He slowly walked towards Yi Zichen, took out a note, and stuffed it into Yi Zichen's hand, then patted his shoulder. Brother Yi, nice to meet you. Yi Zichen subconsciously held the note and looked up at Chui 12. Chui 12 merely shrugged, then raised his eyebrows towards the purple-robed elder. In order to prove that I just came to play, I won't disturb you guys. In order to prove that I'm only here to have fun, I won't disturb you here, lest you think too much. With that, Chui 12 left the hall. The purple-robed elder only stopped worrying when Chui 12 truly disappeared. Senior brother, just who is that person? Don't know what you shouldn't know. It won't do you any good. The purple-robed elder replied with a frown. The purple-robed elder replied with a frown, then looked at Yi Zichen with narrowed eyes. I wonder if your highness. Chapter 645. Chui 12's invitation. Yi Zichen left the front hall without so much as a backward glance. Actually, Yi Zichen just wanted to act cool and scare the old men. He intentionally walked very slowly so that they could invite him back. However, no one came to invite him back even after he reached the mountain gate. Seriously, Laozi already said that I'm the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor, but these people didn't react at all. Yi Zichen looked back every few steps, but no one came to find him even after he left the mountain gate. What the hell? Yi Zichen decided not to wait any longer. It's fine if they don't come to find me. I don't want to stay here. Yi Zichen took out the note Chui 12 gave him. Chui 12 definitely wanted to tell me something since he sent it to me in such a vague manner. I'll wait for you at the place where we met. The contents of the note were very simple. Yi Zichen destroyed the note after reading it. Wait for me at the place we met? Just what does this guy want to say to me? Senior brother, that young man, just said that he's the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. The elders in the hall spoke up after Yi Zichen left. The purple-robed elder in the center snickered. You all actually believed him? Could he be lying to us? The black-robed elder frowned. Although he had a bad temper, he was still a hardcore fan of the Yellow Emperor. The Yellow Emperor gave up his cultivation and reincarnated for the future of the immortal region in order to break through the shackles of the complete stage of the sky immortal level and create an immortal king expert for the immortal region. Also, he fought the demons back then and defeated Chiyu and his army of 100,000 demons. It could be said that the Yellow Emperor was a legendary figure in the immortal region. If he really is the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor, why would he appear in Yonghe? The powerhouses of the immortal region would have invited him to the sacred land as an honored guest a long time ago, the purple-robed elders said in disdain. The purple-robed elder's tone was filled with disdain. Who knows where this bastard came from? He actually dared to use the Yellow Emperor's name to trick us. I only let him leave because it wasn't easy for him to reach this level of cultivation, and I will need his power to fight the enemies in the future. Otherwise, I wouldn't tolerate him tarnishing the Yellow Emperor's name. The purple-robed elder's words were very powerful and emotional. The elders in the hall also nodded in agreement with what the purple-robed old man had said. All right, let's not talk about that kid who pretended to be the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. Oh well, but the purple-robed elder waved his hand, and the white-robed elder stood up from his chair. Senior brother, we have to be careful when Shui 12 comes to the immortal region. Keep an eye on his location. Report to me when he leaves the immortal region. Yes, senior brother. The white-robed elder cupped his hands and left the hall. The purple-robed elder looked at the other elders and said, As for the others, go back to your duties. I'll go see Great Emperor Yonghe and report what happened just now. Yes, the elders in the hall all left. Only then did the purple-robed elder's brows sink. The Yellow Emperor's reincarnation has actually come to the immortal region. We definitely can't let this small fry mess up our grand plan. As soon as he finished speaking, the purple-clothed old man turned into a ray of light and disappeared from the hall. What he did not know was that the space in the hall twisted the moment he disappeared. Then, a person appeared in the empty hall and smirked in the direction the purple-robed elder disappeared, then disappeared as well. Yi Zichen arrived at the place he first appeared in according to his memories. This was a vast plain. As far as the eye could see, one could faintly see a village slowly emitting green smoke. Gulp. Yi Zichen's stomach rumbled. He had been in the immortal region for nearly a day, but he had not eaten a single drop of water or grain of rice. The system is definitely screwing me over. As Yi Zichen retorted in his heart, he looked around. Brother Yi. Shui 12 suddenly appeared in front of Yi Zichen in the vast plains with a roasted chicken in his hands. Yi Zichen couldn't help but gulp when he smelled the aroma of the roasted chicken. Brother, you must be hungry as well, so I roasted it myself. Shui 12 sat down on the ground with a smile, then placed the roasted chicken wrapped in lotus leaves on the ground. Then he took out a pot of wine and 2 wine cups from his bosom. Try it. Shui 12 poured a cup of wine for Yi Zichen, then raised his eyebrows at Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen didn't think too much about it, and immediately poured the wine into his mouth. The wine was cool, but when it entered his stomach, it ignited a flame, causing him to feel extremely comfortable. More importantly, it was as if his spiritual power had increased. Brother Yi actually doesn't suspect me of poisoning it? Shui 12 raised his eyebrows with a smile. Yi Zichen shrugged. What reason do you have for poisoning it? That's true. Shui 12 smiled brightly, then poured a cup for himself as well. Every sip of this wine is a sip less. I've used up everything I have in order to serve Brother Yi. Is this wine very rare? Yi Zichen swirled the slightly murky wine in his cup. Shui 12 explained with a helpless smile. Brother, you might not know, but this wine is rare even in the God realm. The flask of wine I have was given to me by your majesty. If I were to slowly earn points, I might not even be able to get a single flask in 100 years. Then I've gotten a great bargain. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled, then poured the second cup without any hesitation. Chui Twelve's heart ached, but he didn't stop them. I wonder why Brother Chui has summoned me here. Brother Yi, you're actually from the modern realm, right? Chui 12 smiled and looked over. Yes. Yi Zichen didn't want to think too much about how powerful the God Realm guys were. Since he could say that he came from the modern realm, he must know something. Moreover, Lu Jing was in the Four-Direction Palace. Actually, I also came from the modern realm. Chui Fugue let out a long sigh. Yi Zichen shuddered and looked at him in shock. Of course, I'm not from the same era as you. I came here quite early during the Republic of China period. I was inexplicably brought to this place by the Six Realms Patroller, and I was actually quite flustered. In the blink of an eye, so many years have passed. I didn't expect to meet people from the modern realm, such as you and Lu Qing. I didn't expect Brother Chui to be from the modern realm. Yi Zichen suppressed the shock in his heart. Chui 12 nodded, then stretched lazily. Actually, I came here for Lu Jing. For her. Yi Zichen couldn't help but feel a chill when he thought of Lu Jing. For her. Yi Zichen couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart when he thought of Lu Jing. Yi Zichen smiled, then took off the chicken leg. What did she tell you to come find me for? To return a favor? I don't need it. Chapter 646. Chapter 646. Lu Jing's letter. A gentle breeze blew past. The grass on the plains rippled as the breeze blew past. Yi Zichen paused for a moment when he heard that. Then, he finished his chicken leg with a smile and shrugged. What is it? From what I understand, you and Lu Jing are lovers? Since Lu Qing and I are both from the modern realm, our relationship is naturally better than with the other highnesses. She talks about you the most, how amazing you are, and how much she misses you. Chui 12 tried to test Lu Qing. Lu Qing and I are both from the modern realm. Yi Zichen nodded and listened carefully to Chui 12. It is actually very difficult to survive in the Four-Direction Palace. I had thought that she would be removed from the Four-Direction Palace. However, I never expected this doll-like girl to be able to gain a stable footing in the Four-Direction Palace in just a few short months and become His Majesty's most beloved highness. Although Lu Jing likes to cause trouble, she does have some tenacity. Yi Zichen nodded. But you don't know that you're the only thing that keeps her going? Chui 12 looked up and locked eyes with Yi Zichen with a smile. Chui 12 looked up and locked his gaze onto Yi Zichen's with a smile. No matter how difficult the mission or cultivation, he will grit his teeth and complete it. When I went to see her and told her not to work so hard, do you know what she said? Yi Zichen shook his head. Chui 12 pursed his lips with a smile. Chui 12 pursed his lips and smiled. She said that the sooner she becomes a Sky Supreme, the sooner she can go back and see you. Just like that, that belief supported her for being unknown to the 17th Highness that the entire Four-Direction Palace, and even the God Realm knows about. Yi Zichen's hand trembled. The hand that was holding onto the wine cup inexplicably trembled. It wasn't hard to imagine what kind of hardship Lu Jing had experienced during this period. It would be a lie to say that he didn't feel heartache, but so what? It was just as Lu Jing had said, they were no longer people of the same world. Yi Zichen picked up the wine gourd and poured it into his mouth. Chui 12, who sat across from him, glared and snatched the gourd away. Are you an animal? Are you a beast? This is all I have left. Yi Zichen laid on the ground and looked up at the gradually darkening sky. The orange-red sunset dyed the horizon. She kept sighing, but she couldn't say a word. I came here because Lu Jing asked me to. She knew that I would descend in the next few days, so she specifically told me to give it to you. Yi Zichen looked up and saw a letter in Chui 12's hands. I swear I didn't look it on my way here. Chui 12 swore. Yi Zichen took the letter over and opened it. Yi Zichen, I'm Lu Jing. You must have met Brother 12. He is a very good brother and my only friend in the divine realm. I heard that he was about to descend to the mortal world, so I asked him to pass this letter to you. I want to explain some things to you. Actually, what I said that day wasn't my original intention. When I saw you that day, you know how much I want to hug you and tell you the words I said countless times in my dreams. But I couldn't do anything in front of Deep Dream. He is His Majesty's most trusted confidant, and also a spy that I can't get rid of even if I want to. I can't show my true thoughts, so I can only pretend to be indifferent. There's no helping it. I want to live. I have to apologize. I didn't care about your feelings for the sake of my life. But I can't do anything about it. I live on thin ice under His Majesty's watch. I have to make him absolutely satisfied and make him trust me. Only then can I survive in the Four Directions Palace. Because I know very well that there is only hope for everything to turn around if I survive. Only if I survive can I truly have the chance to hug you and tell you just how much I miss you. The God realm is filled with danger, and so is the entire 6 realms. I hope you can be careful and not be as hot-tempered as you were in the modern realm. Live. You have to live. Also, please believe me, no matter what happens, I will always love you. Yi Zichen's eyes gradually moistened. He gripped the letter tightly and carefully put it away in the treasure chest. For a long time, Yi Zichen did not say anything. He merely sat on the ground and stared blankly in front of him. I really want to know what the God realm is like, Yi Zichen suddenly said. Yi Zichen said abruptly. His gaze had already turned sharp. Chui 12 wiped away the grease on his lips and thought for a moment. Tyrannical. The strong plunder resources to become stronger, while the weak follow the strong and live their lives in fear. You too? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Of course, Chui 12 smiled wryly. Don't think that I'm just the highness of the Four Directions Palace. I might look very impressive in front of outsiders, but I don't even dare to raise my head in front of His Majesty. His Majesty's words can decide my life and death. Do you understand? It's just like the emperors of ancient times. Do you understand? It's just like our ancient emperors. As long as you make His Majesty unhappy, you have to die. Is that so? Yi Zichen looked at the sky with a dark expression. Every single word in Lu Jing's letter was heart-wrenching. She didn't hide the fear in her heart at all. I can't imagine just how cruel His Majesty is. That's why Chui 12 and Lu Jing are in such a state. You're lucky that you didn't go to the divine world. If you're lucky enough to step into the divine world, listen to my advice. Don't choose the Four-Way Palace for Lu Qing. Never step into the territory of the Four-Way Palace before reaching the Heavenly Supreme Realm. If you do that, you'll be harming yourself, and you'll be harming Lu Jing, who has always been trembling with fear. Chui 12 sighed and patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. His words of consolation contained a lot of bitterness. What's His Majesty's name? Yi Zichen suddenly asked. Bian, Chui 12 said. Why are you asking? Why? Of course, he was going to use the God Stone to pray for that retarded Majesty. Pong, what a familiar name. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Isn't this the name of the dragon's son? Are you sure it's Bian? Isn't this the dragon's son? Yi Zichen frowned. How did he become the emperor of the Four Directions Palace? There are some things that I can't reveal. The current divine realm is different from the divine realm 10,000 years ago. Chui 12 answered carefully as he looked up at the sky. If I say anything, then the people above might find out. But I can tell you that in the current divine realm, the 9 sons of the dragon all have high positions of authority. Yi Zichen scratched his chin and squinted his eyes. The old dragon god had told him that the dragon race was partners with the divine realm, but it seemed like he was saying that they were a subsidiary race of the divine realm and that they worked for the divine realm, causing the dragon race to nearly go extinct. Chapter 647. Damn the rules, it's getting late. I've stayed in the lower realm for too long. I didn't get to experience the life of a Taoist disciple, so I returned to the God realm early. Chui 12 smiled faintly as he glanced into the distance. You're going back now? Since you're going to be an outer sect disciple here, then a few more days won't matter. How about you stay here for a bit longer? I have a lot of questions to ask you as well. Yi Zichen came back to his senses and tried to get Chui 12 to stay. He had countless questions about the God realm. Chui 12 was clearly a very good person to answer his questions. If I go back so early, no, it doesn't feel good staying here and being watched all the time. As he spoke, Chui 12 glanced at the empty space nearby with a playful smile on his face. He stretched lazily, then carefully put away the remaining juices on the ground, then walked in front of Yi Zichen and patted him on the shoulder. Be careful in the immortal region. With that, Chui 12 took out a spiritual compass and placed it on the ground. The spiritual compass lit up and shot into the sky. Shui 12 stood on top of it and waved towards Yi Zichen with a smile. If fate wills it, we'll meet again in the God realm. Shui 12's figure above the spiritual compass gradually turned blurry, then disappeared from the plains. Yi Zichen didn't look away for a long time. While he felt sad about Shui 12's departure, he couldn't help but worry about Lu Jing's situation in the God realm. After a long time, a flock of geese flew past in the sky. For some reason, Yi Zichen felt a bit lonely as he looked at the geese in the sky. He was unfamiliar with the immortal region, and there was no one around him that he could talk to. More importantly, the sky was about to turn dark, and he didn't even have a place to stay. Since there weren't any inns nearby that could give him a place to stay, Yi Zichen decided to spend the night outside. He sat on the ground indifferently and stuffed the remaining roast chicken into his mouth. At the same time, he looked for the system. System, come out. I know you're definitely watching me. System notification. Something went wrong in the middle, but don't worry, someone will come and find you soon. The something went wrong in the middle was clearly because no one cared about Yi Zichen in the immortal region. Thinking of that, Yi Zichen couldn't help but grit his teeth. He gripped his phone tightly and rolled his eyes. You make it sound easy. You know, I went to Immortal Domain's Harmony Taoist temple. When I mentioned that I was the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor, they ignored me. System notification. Yonghe Temple? System notification. How did you end up there? Yonghe Temple is actually a bunch of gibberish. Yi Zichen's mind went wild. He looked at the garbled code on the screen and tried to understand what the system was trying to say, but in the end, he gave up. What the hell? System notification. This damned rule. Obviously, the system's message seemed to have been blocked by something. This sort of situation was truly rare. In Yi Zichen's memory, the system had never acted like this before. System notification. In short, don't come into contact with Yonghe's people. Find a place to stay for the next few days. It won't be long before someone comes to pick you up. What about Yonghe's people? Yi Zichen frowned. Combined with the system's messed up code and his curse, as well as the fact that he was forbidden from contacting Yonghe's people in between system notification. Don't worry about it. Also, do not take out Xin Yuan's sword from the treasure chest before you see the Flame Emperor and company. Do you understand? Understood. Yi Zichen nodded in certainty. System notification. Then that's it. I'm very busy right now, so let's stop here. The system notification gradually disappeared from the screen, which meant that Yi Zichen had truly left. Yi Zichen thought back to what the system said with a dark expression. There was something wrong with Yonghe. He didn't know what the problem was, but he just had to be more careful in the future. Yi Zichen put the problem of Yonghe to the back of his mind, then suddenly thought of Tai Bai jinxing. He definitely had the right to speak about the God Realm. This geezer had stayed in the God Realm for a long time. Yi Zichen scrolled to his chat with Tai Bai jinxing. Geezer Tai Bai. Yi Zichen sent the message, and it remained in the sending state. After a long time, a red exclamation mark appeared in front of the message. Sending failed. Yi Zichen scratched his head, then couldn't help but send it again. It was still a sending failure. This is strange. Yi Zichen looked at the signal on his phone. At that moment, there was an internet signal. In order to confirm it, he even checked his moments. It could be refreshed. What did this geezer go to do? Yi Zichen scratched his head, then put his phone back into his pocket. Then, he lay down on the plains and looked up at the bright moon in the sky. Damn it, it's actually a full moon. When people from other places see the full moon, they couldn't help but think of their hometown. I really wonder when he can return to the modern realm. A silent night passed. Before he fell asleep, Yi Zichen set up a barrier around him like a tent. Although he was sleeping in the open, he had a good night's sleep. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. The phone in Yi Zichen's pocket continuously rang with notifications. Yi Zichen took out his phone in a daze. The screen was filled with messages from Yang Jian, while there were plenty of unread messages from other people. Yi Zichen looked up at the sky. The sun had already risen high in the sky. Yi Zichen patted his face, then clicked open his chat with Yang Jian. Bro, bro, bro. The entire screen was filled with these two words. Yi Zichen replied with a yawn. What is it? You finally came out, Yang Jian instantly replied. What do you plan to do about the underworld? At the underworld, Yi Zichen scratched his head in confusion. I just slept for a bit. What happened to the underworld? What happened to the underworld? Didn't you see our group? Never mind, I'll tell you. The underworld is in chaos. The first person of the 18 levels of hell was killed in one night for no reason. The seals of hell have been opened, and all the wraiths inside have come out. The underworld is in a mess right now. Yi Zichen's heart skipped a beat when he saw Yang Jian's message. He frowned. Are you sure? It's already spread out in the heavenly court. Do you think it's fake? If you don't believe me, then take a look in the group. They're still talking about it. Then why did you find me? Although the underworld is at odds with the heavenly court, no matter what, the heavenly court and the underworld used to be one family. You're now the chief minister of the cabinet of the heavenly court, so you have the right to decide whether the heavenly court will send troops to help. However, I feel like this is the best chance to ease the tension between the heavenly court and the underworld. Bro, what do you think? Although the relationship between the underworld and the heavenly court had become tense recently, the older generation deities still cared about old times. Thus, the deities all went to find Yi Zichen the moment this happened. Chapter 648. The great emperor comes knocking. Yi Zichen signaled Yang Jian to calm down, then clicked open the red packet server. God of Thunder, Yang Jian, what happened to Tianzuan? Pagoda-bearing heavenly kingly. I didn't expect something like this to happen in the underworld. Looks like he's recovered. Yang Jian. He said he'll update me later. God of Fortune. Something big has happened to the underworld this time. Even if our heavenly court sends troops, we won't be able to deal with the resentful spirits in the 18 levels of hell without 3 to 5 days. If the Emperor agrees to send troops, then I, the god of wealth, will become a god of poverty. Yu Lao, God of Fortune, you're wrong. When hell is in trouble, it's only right that we lend a helping hand. What's more, this affects the 3 realms. So what if we have to spend some money? God of Thunder, Yu Lao is right. God of Fortune, all right, I'm just saying. Generals, if you really want to send troops, you can discuss with me at any time if you need resources or funds. Monkey King, hey, Old Sun's monkeys are all ready. Back then, Old Sun, had wreaked havoc in the underworld. This time, it's time to ease the tension between us. Yang Jian, it's useless for us to talk here. Let's wait for my brother's news. As the people in the group chatted away, Yi Zichen took a quick glance and scrolled up the chat history. 10-odd minutes later, Yi Zichen found the first message. Clairvoyance, Morning Post. Hell is in chaos. The upper echelons were currently gathered together for a meeting. The 10 ghost marshals were all present, and the 9 Yama Kings were all present as well. Clairaudient. Morning news. The souls of the ghost messengers of the 18 levels of hell and the underworld have been destroyed. The internal restrictions have collapsed, and the vengeful spirits have broken out of hell and escaped. Right now, he was summoning the underworld soul reaper and soul shackle envoys to summon all the vengeful spirits back. Canopy Marshal. Old pig doesn't read much. Don't joke around. God of Thunder. Really? Yang Jian. Stop fooling around. Hell is impregnable. How can it stop collapsing? That's a restriction set up by the great sacred emperor equaling heaven. Even the Jade Emperor can't break it. God of Fortune. Shoo. The Jade Emperor doesn't like people saying that he's weaker than the great sacred emperor equaling heaven. Yu Lao. Ahem. I've received insider news. The clairvoyant and clairaudient were indeed speaking the truth. Immortal Chujiao, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, just sent a message asking for help in our Buddhist realm group. It seems like it's true. Yang Jian, Oxhead, just sent me a message. He asked me if the heavenly courts can disregard the past and send troops to help suppress them. God of Thunder, I got it too. Pagoda-bearing heavenly kingly, I received it too. Canopy Marshal, Old Pig, also received it. Yu Lao, it seems like the situation in the underworld is really difficult. I'm afraid they can't control the situation on their own. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone around asking for help. God of Thunder, go look for the Sky Sovereign. He is now the Grand Chief of the Cabinet. As long as he agrees to send troops, Yang Jian, I'll go look for him. Yi Zichen left the group with his chin in his hand. He was rather curious, as to why there was no news from the Underworld's group after such a huge incident. He scanned through the list of his closest contacts and found only Idealism was also kicked out of the Underworld staff chat group. This news was from half a month ago, but he didn't realize it. It was no wonder that the Underworld chat group had been so peaceful and quiet. He had been kicked out of it by someone. Yizichin let out a long sigh, then opened the messages the others had sent him. As expected, they were all asking him how to deal with it. Ding dong. Yizichin's phone vibrated. A bright red 1 appeared on his contact list. Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heavens, has sent you a friend request. Yizichin's hand trembled, and he nearly threw the phone away. He looked at the verification message. I have something to discuss with you. Yes. Sky Sovereign. The Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heavens, sent him a message the moment he received the verification message. Great Emperor. To be honest, Yizichin was rather hesitant when facing him. Although he was of the same level as the Jade Emperor, the Jade Emperor was widely known, while the Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heavens, was mysterious. As the person in charge of the Underworld, he didn't care about the internal affairs of the Underworld. Nobody knew what he was busy with, and very few people even knew who he really was. However, he actually appeared this time, and even added Yizichin as a friend. Let's cut to the chase. I've contacted the Jade Emperor. He said that you're in charge of the Heavenly Court now, so I would like to ask you to send troops to help the Underworld. Is the situation very dangerous? Yizichin frowned. Yes. Even though I appear the moment the seal was broken, there are still hundreds of millions of wraiths that escaped. It's impossible for the Underworld to capture all of them with just the military strength we have. Please send troops. Sure. Yizichin replied with a smile. Yizichin smiled. But I'm very curious. Just who was able to break through the seals you set up? The Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heavens, fell silent. After a long while, he finally replied, An expert that far surpasses me and the Jade Emperor. This kind of expert is definitely not from the Three Realms. If he's not from the Three Realms, then he's clearly from the upper Three Realms. I've already rushed back as fast as I could, but I still couldn't catch a glimpse of him. However, I smell a familiar scent from him. It's like a demon. Them again. Yizichin clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. Great Emperor, no need to worry. I'll tell the Heavenly Court to send troops right away. Thank you so much. I'll leave everything to Sky Sovereign. The Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heavens, replied. No problem. Ding dong. Your intimacy level with the Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heavens, increased by 100. Current intimacy level, 200. Ding dong. Your intimacy level with the Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heaven, has increased. Current intimacy level, trusted. Yizichin glanced at the increased intimacy level, then clicked on the red packet server. Everyone, the Netherworld is in trouble. We will send perfected Lord Erlang, Yang Jian, pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li Jing, and Third Prince Neza to help with 100,000 heavenly soldiers. Yang Jian, yes. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li, understood. Neza, okay. God of Thunder. Only Idealism, Sky Sovereign. What should I do? Someone has to guard the Heavenly Court. You should stay and guard the house. Monkey King, I old son want to go too. Canopy Marshal, I old pig also want to go. Then all of you can go, but the Heavenly Court must have someone to guard it. Thor, you must stay home. I just talked to the Great Sacred Emperor, equaling heavens. The ones who broke the formation were demons. They attacked the Underworld, so they might attack the Heavenly Court as well. Although you can't go out and help, your mission is more important, understand? God of Thunder, understood. God of Fortune, if you need equipment and funds, report to me. Old Lord Taishang, if you need pills, go to the Old Lord's Manor to get them. Yulao, ahem, if you need marriage, come to my Red Line Pavilion. Old Lord Taishang, F***ck off. The atmosphere in the group instantly changed when Yizichin agreed to send troops. Yizichin smiled, but his gaze turned sharper. He squinted his eyes and typed on the keyboard. Chapter 649. Sampang leads the army. These fellows from the demon realm were becoming more and more unbridled. In the past, they would at most make some abyssals appear. But this time, they managed to break through the Hell's Seal and release hundreds of millions of vengeful spirits. Vengeful spirits were different from ghosts. They gathered the resentment of heaven and earth. In other words, they were ghosts that were born from resentment after they died. This kind of ghost would not be able to reincarnate before the resentment in their hearts was purified. However, it must be known that vengeful spirits did not achieve their ambitions when they were alive, so they were narrow-minded and gathered vengeful energy. How could his resentment diminish when he was forced to endure the torment of the underworld? Over time, the number of vengeful spirits increased. Now that the vengeful spirit had escaped, who knew what kind of trouble it would stir up? Don't embarrass me when we get out. We're here to help the underworld capture vengeful spirits. This is also a blessing for the common people in the outer regions of the immortal domain. When the time comes, all of you have to be more attentive and do your best. Do not be passive, understand? A familiar voice sounded out not far away. Yi Zichen looked up into the sky. Unbeknownst to them, the sky was already filled with people. Even the weakest amongst them was a human immortal. Looking around, there was no end to this group of cultivators. Boss Yi, at that moment, the fatty, who was standing at the very front, flew towards Yi Zichen. Third Fatty Jean. Yi Zichen was slightly stunned. Third Fatty Jean wore a white robe with red stripes and had a Taoist temple on his round head. You guys are going to, Boss Yi, when did you come to the immortal region? Third Fatty Jin's face was filled with shock. Something happened to the underworld. Master ordered me to bring people over to help. You guys are going as well? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Of course. The vengeful spirit appeared outside of the immortal region. How could we, the sacred land of the immortal region, sit back and do nothing? Third Fatty Jean answered matter-of-factly. But, Boss Yi, did you just come to the immortal region? I've been here since yesterday. Yesterday? Third Fatty Jean frowned. Then why didn't anyone come to pick you up? Forget it. Let's not think about it anymore. How about this? Boss Yi, come with me to the outskirts of the immortal region. After we deal with those vengeful spirits, I'll send you to see my master. All right. Yi Zichen nodded without any hesitation. He was about to return to the outskirts of the immortal region when he heard about this. No matter what, there were too many people he had to protect there. Third Fatty Jean nodded with a light smile, then raised his head and pointed at the people in the sky. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and leave. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Zichen couldn't help but purse his lips into a smile when he saw this. You're right. You're quite powerful. And your clothes, I don't think you were wearing this before. So don't mention it. Third Fatty Jean and Yi Zichen followed behind the group and shook their heads with a wry smile. My first senior brother has disappeared ever since the battle at Mount Supreme. A steam master had tried to search for him, but he couldn't find him. Coincidentally, a while ago, the various halls were going to choose their chief disciples. My master only has 2.5 disciples, so I had no choice but to become the chief disciple. Third Fatty Jean shrugged helplessly. From the looks of it, he was rather unwilling. Yi Zichen raised his hand and smacked Third Fatty Jin's head with a smile. Don't act like you didn't get what you wanted. Plenty of people can't become the chief disciple even if they wanted to, and you're actually acting like you're unwilling. Third Fatty Jean smiled bitterly, then twitched his mouth. If I was the chief disciple a few years ago, I would definitely be willing. But, Boss Yi, don't you know that the world is in chaos recently? The chief disciple has to bear the responsibilities of a chief disciple. For example, I have to lead by example when we're dealing with the wraiths. I have to save my junior brothers in times of danger, which means that my life isn't mine. It's not like you don't know how scared I am of death. If Third Fatty Jean said he was number 2 in terms of being scared of death and acting cool, then no one would dare to say they were number 1. Yi Zichen patted him on the shoulder when he saw Third Fatty Jin's helpless expression. Those who are capable have to put in more effort than others. Boom! A commotion suddenly occurred at the front of the group. Third Fatty Jean frowned. What happened? Senior brother, before the disciple in front could finish, Yi Zichen saw a group of blood-red monsters with sharp fangs appear around the group. The wraiths actually came to the sacred land. Third Fatty Gene squinted his bean-sized eyes, then tore open the space and took out his hammers. "You hurt my junior brother. Die." Third Fatty Gene charged fearlessly towards the wraiths as he swung his hammers. This was the first time Yizichin saw him fight since he had known him for so long. Very strong, especially his hammers, they suited him very well. A faint smile surfaced on Yizichin's face. Third Fatty Gene said that he was scared of death earlier, but now that he saw his junior brother in trouble, didn't he have to bear the responsibility of being the senior brother? Since Third Fatty Gene is so strong, I'm his boss, so I can't fall behind. Yizichin bit his finger and formed a seal with his hands, causing a blood-red sickle to appear in his hands. None of them were from the underworld, so the only way to suppress the wraiths was to destroy their souls. What's more, the wraiths looked rather fierce. If they were to injure their own people, it would not be worth it. The blood-red sickle was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Wherever Yizichin passed by, the sickle would continuously reap the souls of the wraiths. Who is this person? He's so fierce. The surrounding disciples all stopped when they saw Yizichin attack. There really wasn't anything for them to do. The wraiths might be rather troublesome for the disciples, but they were just noobs for Yizichin. Third Fatty Gene raised his eyebrows, then swung his hammers with even more force. With the two of them working together, all the wraiths that appeared in the sacred land were destroyed. Third Fatty Gene put his hammers back into the spatial fissure, then smiled towards Yizichin. "Bossy, I really can't compare to you in terms of strength. Don't flatter me over there." Yizichin rolled his eyes. "How did these guys get here? Isn't the sacred land of the immortal region an independent space?" The sacred land of the immortal region is indeed an independent space. Third Fatty Gene nodded. But since these vengeful spirits came to the sacred land, then I can only say, what is it? Yizichin had a bad feeling when he saw Third Fatty Gene's hesitant expression. The wraiths in the outer region of the immortal region are already saturated. If there are no accidents, then what we will see when we step out of this teleportation gate is the outer region of the immortal region, Third Fatty Gene said sullenly. Yizichin opened his eyes wide. Chapter 650. Battle. Keep your spirits up. Is this the time to be afraid? Outside Maple City, a bearded man wearing armor and holding a long sword walked in the air. Beside him were similarly armored Maple City guards, surrounded by ferocious-looking wraiths. Woo! The vengeful spirit let out a strange cry and bit the bearded man. The middle-aged man was caught off guard and was bitten by the vengeful spirit. "General," the guard couldn't help but express his concern. The bearded man's brows suddenly furrowed. He turned around and slashed the vengeful spirit away. He ignored his own injuries and scolded his guard. "If you have the time to worry about me, why don't you think about how to protect your family? As a soldier, fear is not a word in your dictionary. As long as you are afraid, if you retreat, then the ones who will be hurt will be your family and the people who believe in you." The bearded man glared angrily. He glared at the cursed grudge around him and raised the sword at his hand high up. "Kill! Kill!" The guard's eyes were also bloodshot as he recklessly charged towards the endless vengeful spirits. They had no way out. Maple City was their home, and behind them stood the lover they swore to protect for the rest of their lives. They could only fight to the death without retreating. As expected, Yizichin and the others encountered the wraith's ferocious attacks. Unfortunately, these vengeful spirits were not very strong. It was just their numbers that made one's heart palpitate. Before long, all the vengeful spirits near the teleportation point were wiped out. "Bossy, we've settled everything here. Where do you think we should go next?" Third Fatty Gene checked the injuries of the surrounding juniors. After confirming that they were all fine, he walked in front of Yizichin and asked, "Which city are we closest to in the outer regions of the immortal region?" Yizichin carried the blood scythe on his shoulder. After killing so many wraiths, the scythe's blood-red color had become even more crystalline. Red Maple City and Hundred Flower City are both nearby, but in terms of battle prowess, Hundred Flower City has the Hundred Flowers Gate guarding it, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Yi Zichen nodded. That's right. Then let's go to Maple City. Third Fatty Jean nodded, then rose into the air and flew towards Maple City. Yi Zichen, who was at the back of the group, gazed into the distance. You must live, General, our people. The guards of Maple City were covered in blood. Of course, the blood belonged to them. Lying around them were guards who had lost their ability to fight. The remaining guards not only had to protect their comrades, but they also had to fight the vengeful spirits. The situation was unspeakable. The minimum requirement to become a Maple City guard was to be an Earth Immortal. All in all, these vengeful spirits were at best spirit bodies. Vengeful spirits that could become Earthen Immortals were as rare as phoenix feathers and Chelan horns. However, it was precisely this group of weak, vengeful spirits that nearly annihilated this group of elite guards. General, let's retreat. We don't need the North Gate anymore. Let's go back and meet up with the governor. Let's activate the Hooching Formation. The rest of the guards tried to comfort him, but Beardy was not much better off. His immortal-grade spirit chi battle armor was torn apart by these low-level vengeful spirits. His burly arms were also dripping with blood to the ground. Lousy doesn't want to hear that. The bearded man glared at the surrounding guards and berated them. The city lord and the young city lord's only son will guard the east gate. Leisure House, a faction within the city, volunteered to guard the south gate, while the travelers in the city volunteered to guard the west gate. City lord, let me guard the north gate and give all the troops to Lousy. You're telling Lousy to retreat? I'm telling you, there's no such thing as retreat for my troops. Do you understand? With that, the bearded general raised his blunted sword and charged at the vengeful spirits without hesitation. Come, Lousy wants to see just how fierce you guys are. Lousy's done. Many guards chose to throw away their weapons and run towards the city gate in such a hopeless situation. There were simply too many vengeful spirits. They could not see any hope of winning in a situation like that. Thus, they chose to run in the face of fear and despair. Dawn. However, before they could take a few steps, the guards ran into an invisible barrier. Open the barrier. Lousy wants to go in. The guards kept hammering the barrier. The guards standing on the city wall looked reluctant, but they still shook their heads resolutely. City Lord has ordered that the city formation will not be removed until the vengeful spirits are gone. At the same time, a group of vengeful spirits appeared behind the guards who wanted to enter the city to seek refuge. The vengeful spirits pounced on him and instantly tore his flesh into a bloody mess. Seeing this scene, the surrounding guards all gulped and tightened their grip on the weapons in their hands. Since the city was not taking them in, they had no way out. Beardy, who was fighting with a group of vengeful spirits in the air, smiled bitterly. Actually, he already knew that the city barrier formation would be activated the moment they came out. Those who came out of the city to face the enemy had all come out with the belief that they would die. Bang! The sword that had slashed countless vengeful spirits finally broke at this moment. The moment the sword broke, the vengeful spirits seemed to have received a signal to attack and instantly surrounded Beardy. You want to eat Lousy? I'm afraid you won't be alive. The bearded man's body suddenly turned red. He had already prepared himself for the worst. Self-destruct. Go to hell, all of you. His fists fiercely blasted away the surrounding vengeful spirits. With bloodshot eyes, he flew to the place with the most vengeful spirits. Boom! Within 100 meters, all the vengeful spirits were eliminated. The guards who were still guarding the city with their weapons couldn't help but tear up. General, the guards who had lost the ability to fight on the ground cried out in pain. Then, they gritted their teeth and crawled around the vengeful spirits. Boom! 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 Explosions rang out one after another. The surviving guards watched as their comrades left one after another. The flames of hatred instantly turned into their strength. They tore off their armor and gave up all defense, charging towards the vengeful spirits. Die, all of you die. As soon as they realized that they had lost the ability to fight, they all chose to self-destruct. The number of soldiers outside the city decreased. The guards standing on the city walls watched as their comrades chose to self-destruct in exchange for a moment of peace in the capital. An hour later, the northern city gate was completely annihilated. The guards who maintained the city barrier formation on the city walls were already crying their eyes out. They were indeed still alive, but they had personally witnessed their brothers who had fought alongside them for decades, or even centuries, die in battle. Chapter 651. Boom, 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 boom. Yi Zichen and company, who had been clearing out the wraiths in the surroundings, suddenly heard a series of explosions. After killing the last wraiths around him, Yi Zichen looked in the direction of Maple City with a frown. Do you know what's going on? It feels like something is self-destructing, Third Fatty Jean replied calmly. Third Fatty Jean replied indifferently. They were already used to self-destruction. Along the way to Maple City, they had seen countless experts in villages choose to self-destruct in order to protect their villages, even if it was just for a bit more hope of survival. These fellows from the Devil Realm. Yi Zichen clenched his fist. Third Fatty Jean couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Demon Realm? Aren't they wraiths? I've chatted with the leader of the underworld, the great sacred emperor equaling heaven. He said that the person who opened the 18 levels of hell had the aura of demons. Yi Zichen replied with a dark expression. Then he let out a long sigh and shook his head. Never mind. Now isn't the time to talk about this. Let's hurry to Maple City. Yi Zichen replied with a dark expression. The wails of wraiths sounded out outside Maple City. The foreheads of the guards on the city walls were covered in sweat, but they still gritted their teeth and maintained the city-protecting formation. As time went on, the number of people who volunteered to fight outside Maple City decreased. On the other hand, the city gates that had lost their defenses would be attacked by even stronger wraiths, causing the guards to feel more and more pressure. City Lord, we've lost the north and west gates. There are too many wraiths. The brothers maintaining the formation can't hold on much longer. Hurry up and retreat with a young city lord. If it really doesn't work, then we'll just fight it out with them. The guards on the east city walls roared. Luo Wei and Luo Yang stood proudly in the sky. Wraiths filled the area around them, but none of them dared to attack. This group of vengeful spirits was truly afraid of being killed. Luo Wei squinted his eyes when he heard the guards report. He was not surprised at all. Although the wraiths were weak, they had the advantage in numbers. Even a complete stage sky immortal expert wouldn't be able to handle them, even if they charged forward to their deaths. For example, the current Luo Yang, who was at the sky immortal level, had a pale face and weak aura. This was the result of overconsumption of spiritual energy. However, he didn't expect that Leisure House would be able to hold on for so long. City Lord, come back. The guards on the city walls frowned and tried to comfort him. In their eyes, anyone could die except the City Lord. The City Lord was the backbone of this city. If he died in battle, then the soldiers and citizens of the city would fall into a state of panic. Luo Yang, go back. Luo Wei forcefully pushed Luo Yang behind him. Luo Yang swayed as he steadied himself. His red tasseled spear stabbed into the air. If father doesn't leave, then I won't leave. What nonsense are you talking about? Luo Wei glared at him angrily. Even if you're outside right now, you'll only be a burden to me. Return to the city and recuperate. Come out when you're strong enough to fight. No. Luo Yang's eyes were filled with seriousness. At this moment, City Lord, Luo Wei, who had been so focused on Luo Yang that he did not notice the surrounding vengeful spirits launching a wave of attacks on him. He subconsciously turned around and hugged Luo Yang tightly. Lightning Palm, serve me. A group of people arrived in the sky. Third Fatty, Jean, sneered at the nearby vengeful spirits. With that, hundreds of lightning palms landed on the vengeful spirits. Kill them all. Third Fatty Jean led the charge. He charged towards the vengeful spirits with 2 giant hammers in his hands. They're here. They're finally here. Luo Wei, who was hugging Luo Yang tightly, let out a long sigh of relief. He had chosen to defend the city to the death. He had chosen to defend the immortal region's sacred land's reinforcements. Old Shui, we can't hold on much longer. Let's retreat. Stone muttered as he swung his arms. Stone muttered as he swung his arms. He was fully armed from head to toe, and from the colorful appearance, one could tell that this set of equipment was not cheap. It wasn't just him. Almost everyone in Leisure House was the same. Outsiders might be envious of them. These were all equipment forged by tool refinement grandmasters. A single set cost at least 100 million Celeste. But what could they do? They had no choice. Leisure House had nothing but money. No. If we retreat, what about the civilians in the city? Even if we don't care about them, think about our village's name. Shueqi shook his head. Hearing that, Stone also fell silent. Then what do you want? We've pretty much finished all the recovery pills and spiritual nourishing pills Yeezy left for us. The only reason we've been able to last this long is because of these pills. No matter how we kill these vengeful spirits, they don't show any signs of decreasing. We're going to die here sooner or later. What are you panicking for? Don't you still have me? Boom. A blood-red sickle with unstoppable force tore open a gap in the vengeful spirits. Yi Zichen carried the sickle and walked in front of Shueqi with a smile, then pulled him up from the ground. Sorry, I'm late. You always like to appear at times like this. Shueqi's worried expression also relaxed. He reached out to grab Yi Zichen's arm and stood up. Stone also came over from the side with a relaxed smile on his face. Brat, you're finally here. Your big brother Stone was eaten by these ghosts. Ha ha ha. If they have the ability. Yi Zichen laughed heartily, then raised his sickle high up. Charge. Kill. Stone also laughed. Then, everyone from Leisure House charged forward with their weapons in hand. Yi Zichen was their pillar of support. As long as he was there, then they had nothing to fear. At the city Lord's Manor, everyone landed in the Manor's guest hall. Third Fatty Jean and Yi Zichen joined them. All of the vengeful spirits surrounding the city were eliminated. As for the remaining people outside, Third Fatty Jean, who held great power, naturally sent out his poor junior brothers. Chief Jean, it was all thanks to your help that Maple City was spared. Luo Wei, who sat on the city lord's chair, stood up and bowed towards Third Fatty Jean. Surprisingly, Third Fatty Jean also stood up with a humble smile. I'm just following my master's orders. What's more, it wasn't just me that saved Maple City. It was the result of everyone's hard work. Yes, I have to thank Leisure House and the travelers and soldiers who died for Maple City. Luo Wei looked up at the sky with a solemn gaze, then bowed 3 times towards the sky. Everyone observed a moment of silence. This was only Maple City. The other cities definitely weren't any better. I wonder if City Lord Luo has any way of contacting the other cities? Yi Zichen asked with a frown. Luo Wei looked at him with a complicated expression, then nodded. Chapter 652. Identity. Everyone turned to look at Luo Wei. They saw him take out a jade slip from his pocket and draw circles on it with his finger. Old Luo, don't worry. We're already on our way to help you. As soon as the jade slip lit up, before Luo Wei could say anything, hearty laughter came from it. You guys weren't attacked? Luo Wei was momentarily stunned. From the tone of the city lords, it seems like they're in a much better situation than I imagined. The underworld and heavenly court have sent reinforcements to our cities, so there aren't many casualties. How's the situation on your side? Can you hold on? I have reinforcements from the immortal region, Luo Wei replied with a smile. The voice in the jade tablet clearly paused for a moment, then laughed. Kid, you're pretty lucky. Then we'll have our soldiers return to defend the city, but we still have to go to Maple City. However, we still have to go to Maple City. You can prepare a banquet to welcome us. You're still thinking about a feast at a time like this? You're too naive. Luo Wei's expression suddenly darkened. Luo Wei's expression suddenly darkened. More than half of Maple City's soldiers and travelers have died. And you want me to host a banquet? Luo Wei, don't mind it too much. Ah Chung is just like that. A female voice sounded out from the jade tablet. A woman's voice came from the jade slip. There's no need to prepare a banquet. Just wait for us in Maple City. Luo Wei was in a bad mood, so he put the jade tablet back into his pocket with a sullen expression. Everyone in the room had heard their conversation clearly, so Yi Zichen's worried heart finally calmed down. At that moment, his phone rang. He gave everyone an apologetic look, then walked out the door with his phone. The person who sent the message was Su Yin. Yi Zichen slapped his thigh. I've been too focused on the cities in the outer regions of the Immortal Region, but I forgot that the Endless Beast region might be attacked by wraiths as well. Yi Zichen clicked open Su Yan's message and saw her concerned tone. Did you get attacked by wraiths? My big sister said that the wraiths attacked everywhere. Kiki and I have already dealt with it, so we're about to bring people over to help you. I've dealt with it as well. Are you guys hurt? The moment he sent the message, Su Yin sent him a video chat. Except, not long after, Su Yan's face appeared on the screen. Xia Kiki and Lu Lu sat beside her. Big brother Zichen. Xia Kiki giggled and waved at him. Through the screen, the three of them didn't seem to be injured. Yi Zichen let out a sigh, then raised his eyebrows with a smile. Hello. Hee. I told you that Zichen Gidge would be fine. No matter how difficult a problem is, it's not a problem in front of him. You two still don't believe me, humph. Xia Kiki wrinkled her nose and extended her hand towards Su Yin and Lu Lu, then looked at the other two. Damn. Was this another bet? I say, when did the three of you start betting on me? Oh my god. Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. Xia Kiki smiled heartlessly, while Lu Lu shrugged innocently. Su Yin smiled sweetly. Kiki wants it. I can't do anything about it. Xia Kiki. Yi Zichen immediately called her name fiercely. Hearing that, Xia Kiki immediately stood up. Here. After shouting this, she scratched her head with an awkward smile. I'm used to being caught and yelled at by the counselors in university. Su Yin and Lu Lu both covered their mouths and giggled, while Yi Zichen, who was on the other side of the screen, couldn't help but laugh. Suddenly, Su Yin and Xia Kiki's expressions darkened. I wonder when I'll be able to return. I'll go back sooner or later. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and chuckled. It was as if everyone around him from the modern realm had the same question on their minds. Even he would often think about it at night. When would he be able to go back and live an ordinary life? Although they still lived like fish in water here, they were still people who lived in the modern world. Lil, Yin, big sister told me to ask you whether you need to go help Yi Zichen or not. The other minor races need our help as well. Suju appeared in the video. When Yi Zichen saw her, he waved at her. Sister Suju. You guys are chatting here. Suju stared at the screen with wide eyes, like a curious baby. Yi Zichen, can you hear me? Sure. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled. At the same time, Fatty Yin's figure also appeared on the screen. Zhujia is still with Fatty? Haha, it seems like I'll be attending your wedding soon. Kid Yi, I give you full mark for that assist. Fatty Yin laughed loudly in the room. Fatty Yin laughed loudly. Hearing that, Suju blushed, then rolled her eyes at Yi Zichen. If you say anything more, then I won't let Lillian go and find you. All right, since you don't look like you're in trouble, then we won't go over to your place. All right. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. Then Suju grabbed Fatty Yin's ear and left the room. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled. When he thought about Suju's words, he couldn't help but ask, Can you come and find me? Uh-huh. Su Yin smiled warmly. Big sister suddenly agreed to let me find you. Kiki, Lulu and I are going to go over to the Immortal Region to find you after a while. That's great. Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and smile, while the three girls also giggled. After chatting for a while more, they turned off the video call. Yi Zichen walked back to the guest room with a relaxed heart after finding out that Su Yin and company weren't injured. Z's, Yeezy, you're on cloud 9. Where did you go just now? Stone laughed. Yi Zichen smiled without replying, then walked back to his seat and sat down. Yi Zichen noticed that Luo Wei's gaze towards him contained a hint of caution and a hint of complicated emotions. City Lord Luo. Although I don't want to admit it, Sect Master Ye's leisure house has indeed helped the City Lord Manor too much this time. Luo Wei was not someone who couldn't see the bigger picture. The reason he wanted to kill Yi Zichen back then was purely to prevent the demons from harming the Immortal Region. However, Yi Zichen's actions had caused him to feel indebted to Yi Zichen too much. City Lord Luo, you still don't believe my identity? How am I supposed to believe you? Luo Wei sighed. Let's not talk about it. I Luo Wei owe you a favor this time, but if you're someone from the demon realm, then I still won't let you go. Demon realm? At that moment, Third Fatty Jean suddenly raised his eyebrows at Luo Wei with a look of confusion. Did you just say that Boss Luo is someone from the demon realm? Luo Wei remained silent. Although he was suspicious of Yi Zichen's identity, he didn't want the people of the immortal region to find out in case Yi Zichen got hurt. Sometimes, humans are such complicated creatures. However, Yi Zichen smiled nonchalantly. I have the wings of an abyssal, so City Lord Luo thinks that I'm someone from the demon realm. Sect Master Yi. Luo Wei was shocked. He didn't expect Yi Zichen to say it out loud. He had wanted to help Yi Zichen explain, but Third Fatty Jean suddenly snickered. Chapter 653. Chaos. Third Fatty Jean was very emotional. Even though Luo Wei was a late-stage sky immortal and the lord of the city, his gaze towards Third Fatty Jean was still filled with mockery and disdain. Who was Yi Zichen? He was a monumental figure in the immortal region, the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor who fought against Qi Yu of the demon realm. Luo Wei actually said that he suspected Yi Zichen of being a demon. That was the greatest insult to the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. Fatty. Yi Zichen frowned. From his perspective, there was no need for him to get angry over something like that. A horse's stamina is tested by time. No amount of useless explanations would be better than time to prove whether Yi Zichen was a demon or not. Huh. Third Fatty Jean looked at Luo Wei's disdainful snort. He knew very well why Yi Zichen stopped him. The atmosphere in the room was rather tense. Luo Wei also looked towards Third Fatty Jean in confusion. He couldn't help but look towards Yi Zichen. Could I have been wrong? However, he did see Yi Zichen's body grow a pair of wings that was recorded in the ancient books. It was said that all fallen geniuses of the demon realm would have wings. But from the looks of it, Yi Zichen has a good relationship with the people of the immortal region. If Yi Zichen truly was a demon, then he would have been detained by the people of the immortal region a long time ago. I hope City Lord Luo doesn't mind. Fatty didn't mean anything else. Yi Zichen smiled to ease the awkward atmosphere in the room. At the same time, Third Fatty Jean also rolled his eyes towards Luo Wei. Don't be like this, Luo Wei. If you suspect Boss Yi of being a demon spy, then you'll be blacklisted by the immortal region. Even if you're the city lord of Maple City, you'll still be blacklisted by the immortal region. Fatty, I already warned him not to speak carelessly, but this guy still didn't let it go. Although Luo Wei knew that Third Fatty Jean was fighting for him, he didn't know that Third Fatty Jean was a Yellow Emperor. The reason why Third Fatty Jean suspected Third Fatty Jean was just being cautious. There was nothing to blame. If it was the other city lords, then they might just smile and let it go due to the sacred land of the immortal region. Luo Wei, he was famous for his stubbornness. Chief Jean, I don't like hearing that. Just because you have a good relationship with Yi Zichen, do you think I can't help you? You might as well tell me Yi Zichen's identity. I do want to know what his identity is for Chief Jean to trust him so much. In other words, Chief Jean is actually in the same boat as him. Impudent. Bang. Yi Zichen's muscular body instantly shot to his feet. His round, chubby face was filled with a frightening sharpness. Do you dare to repeat what you just said? When Luo Wei said this, he actually felt some regret. No matter what, he shouldn't have suspected that the immortal region would be in cahoots with the demons. You city lords of the outer regions have been living comfortably for too long. You actually dare to say anything? I think you've had enough of your city lord position, right? All right, I'll go back and report to the sect to remove you from the city lord position. Fatty. However, this time, Third Fatty Jean stood straight and glared at Luo Wei with a snort. Boss, you don't mind me. This isn't an issue of your identity anymore. A city lord from the outer regions of the immortal region actually suspects the sacred land of the immortal region. I wonder how everyone will view the immortal region if they find out. Chief Jean, don't use the city lord position to threaten me. I already said that there's no harm in telling you Yi Zichen's identity. If I, Luo Wei, am truly wrong, then I will definitely apologize and return the city lord's position, Luo Wei said with a dark expression. Luo Wei said with a dark expression. Everyone in the room stared blankly at the two of them. The atmosphere was fine just now. Why did it suddenly change? Yi Zichen also twitched his mouth. He didn't know what to do. It was all because of his identity. Bossia's identity might scare you to death if I tell you. But a mere city lord like you doesn't have the right to know. Third Fatty Jean scolded coldly. Then he turned to look at Yi Zichen. Bossie, let's not stay here. Bossie, let's not stay here. I get angry just by looking at this kind of person. What's going on? I can hear Chief Jean getting angry from afar. The guards of the City Lord's Manor walked to the very front outside the guest hall of the City Lord's Manor, while a few armored men and women followed behind them. Behind them were Yang Jian and company from the Heavenly Court, as well as the people from the underworld led by Oxhead. Chief Jean, old Luo is stupid. Please don't lower yourself to his level. The person who spoke up was a man with a square face. The one who spoke was a man with a square face. Looking at his face, he had the air of a general. The heroic-looking armored woman beside him also couldn't help but giggle. Luo Wei couldn't help but snort when he saw them. You talk too much. The square-faced man laughed, then took off his helmet and put it on his waist. Let me introduce you. These masters behind me are all from the Heavenly Court and the Underworld. Ugh, what's going on? Just as he was about to introduce Yang Jian and company to them, he noticed that they were already chatting with Yi Zichen. Bro! Yang Jian quickly walked over when he saw Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen also walked over with a smile. You guys came. You sent a message in the group, so we came down with our troops. It was fortunate that we came down in time and prevented more harm to the immortal region, Yang Jian chuckled. At the same time, pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li also took off his helmet and greeted Yi Zichen. Sky's Sovereign. Heavenly King Li, you've worked hard. I haven't fully recovered from my injuries, so I asked you to come down with your troops. Yi Zichen smiled apologetically. Heavenly King Li quickly waved his hand. Sky's Sovereign, you're making me, old Li, shiver. Those minor injuries are nothing. What's more, I don't have to personally deal with the wraiths. Greetings to Sky's Sovereign, Neza giggled. Yi Zichen rubbed his hair. Third Prince, looks really cool in that. Really? I think so too. Neza giggled on the side. Oxhead couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. You guys know each other? Neza smiled happily. Oxhead, who was beside him, was stunned. He could not help but raise his eyebrows. You all know each other? Old cow, I almost forgot to introduce you. This is Oxhead spoke up. Brother Yi, old Ox, know him. Brother Yi, old Ox, know him. I still owe him tens of thousands of merits. Wait, he should be someone from the underworld. Why is your Heavenly Court? No, old Ox's brain isn't enough to process this. Can someone explain this to me? Someone from the underworld? Hearing that, Heavenly King Li couldn't help but laugh as well. This is Sky's Sovereign Nameless of the Heavenly Court. He is the current Chief Cabinet Steward of the Heavenly Court. How could he be someone from the underworld? Chief Cabinet Steward. Oxhead scratched his head. Brother Yi is indeed someone from the underworld. Bullshit. Yet at that very moment, Third Fatty Jean, who had been suppressing his urge to speak, walked over and cursed. Boss Yi is someone from the immortal region. Boss Yi is someone from my immortal region. If you don't believe me, you can ask Boss Yi. Whoosh. All three sides looked towards Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile coyly when he felt everyone's questioning gazes. Chapter 654. None of them were normal people. The atmosphere of the scene was much more cheerful. All three sides stared at Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen, who was the cause of the conflict, looked at the three sides in a daze. Just which side am I from? To be honest, he was rather close to the Heavenly Court. He had interacted quite a bit with the underworld, and he was the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. Don't care where I'm from. I'm definitely one of you. Yi Zichen answered ambiguously. Yi Zichen answered ambiguously, then abruptly changed the subject. Don't just focus on me. City Lord Luo and the others are still watching. With that, Yi Zichen looked towards Luo Wei and company and saw that they were the ones who were truly dumbfounded. It could be said that the city lords were all dumbfounded, especially the square-faced city lord who knew their identities. Stunned. Completely stunned. Yi Zichen scratched his head with a wry smile. He never expected the meeting to be like this. Thus, he coughed helplessly. causing Luo Wei and company to return to their senses. You must be the recently famous sect master Yi, right? The square-faced city lord reached out his hand with a smile. I'm a city lord of Jadewater City, Huizhen. The beautiful heroine beside me is the city lord of Hundred Flowers City, Lin Shihe. I don't dare to call myself a heroine. She is far from being comparable to City Lord Yi. City Lord Yi was extremely famous during the engagement ceremony between the Zhou and Mu families. When talking about Lin Shihe, it was better to say that she was more valiant than beautiful. He gave off a very capable feeling, a feeling that Yi Zichen had only ever felt from one person before. City Lord Lin is actually called Lin Shihe. I once had an old friend who has a very similar name to City Lord Lin. Sect Master Yi, why don't you tell me? I might know him, Lin Shihe joked. Lin Shihe laughed jokingly. Yi Zichen chuckled and said that person's name. Lin Shihe. The square-faced Huizhen's expression instantly turned strange. Lin Shihe's smile also froze. Yi Zichen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he noticed their expressions. What is it? Sect Master Yi's name is Yi Zichen? Lin Shihe asked in a testing manner. Yes. Yi Zichen nodded, then instantly reacted. He opened his eyes wide and smiled wryly. It can't be Lin Shihe. Could it be that you... Lin Shihe is indeed my younger sister. Lin Shihe couldn't help but smile wryly. My little sister has mentioned Sect Master Yi's name many times since she came to the Immortal Region. I really didn't expect the Yi Zichen she mentioned to be Sect Master Yi. Yi Zichen was truly a bit impressed. It seems like none of the people I've come into contact with in a modern realm are normal people. Haha, the world is really too small. I didn't expect Sect Master Yi to have such fate with Lin City Lord. Huizhen grinned from the side, then bumped Luo Wei's shoulder and said, Old Luo, don't just stand there. There are so many of us, you can't just let us stand here, right? Why don't I see Nan Gongcheng? Luo Wei frowned. Didn't he make you unhappy in the message just now? He said that he had to apologize to you. It seems like he went to look for treasures for you. He said in advance that we don't need to care about him. Huizhen smiled mischievously as he glanced at Luo Wei. AI, old Luo, tell me the truth. Did the two of you have something going on in secret? He's always been single, and you haven't found another one after so many years. Zaziz. F***CK off. Luo Wei cursed with a dark expression. Hurry up and deal with Shihe when you have the time. Huizhen was immediately defeated. He laughed dryly, unable to speak. His relationship with Lin Shihe was rather awkward. Everyone, including the major factions and the city lords, knew of Huizhen's feelings for Lin Shihe. But what could he do? Falling flowers yearn for love, but heartless water flows. Ahem, let's find a place to sit down. Although Luo Wei had said in the Jade Tablet that he wasn't going to hold a banquet, he couldn't help it. Since so many experts had come, he couldn't help but hold a small one. Yang Jian and company sat near Yi Zichen at the table as if they were fighting for dominance. Third Fatty Jean also wanted to fight for it, but a single glance from Yang Jian caused him to back out bitterly. Why didn't Canopy Sky and the Great Sage come? Yi Zichen raised his wine glass. Yang Jian chucked a peanut in his mouth. The two of them went over to the Endless Beast region. The wraiths of the underworld attacked a very wide area this time, so the Endless Beast region was also attacked. They need to go over and help. It was the underworld's negligence. Sorry for troubling you. I, old Ox, will punish myself with a cup of wine. Oxhead apologized with a coy smile. Yang Jian and the others waved their hands. Luo Wei and the other city lords didn't dare to accept Oxhead's apology. They all stood up from their chairs and downed the wine in their cups. The underworld's attack was too sudden, and the wraiths escaping is definitely not something the underworld wanted. Big Brother Ox, stop blaming yourself. Yi Zichen pulled Oxhead over to sit down. But Big Brother Ox and Big Brother Ma are the only ones who came out. But only Big Brother Ox and Big Brother Ma came out. The Immortal Region was attacked, but you should know that the wraiths escaped from the underworld. The situation in the underworld is even worse than the Immortal Region. The great sacred emperor equaling heaven personally came out and ordered Old Ma and I to reinforce the immortal region, while the others stayed inside to deal with the wraiths that did not escape in time. Oxhead smiled wryly. Yizichin couldn't help but nod. That was indeed the case. The underworld was the location of the attack, so the situation there was definitely much worse than the immortal region. Do you need our help? If you don't want the outsiders of the immortal region to get involved, then Yang Jian and company can help you. Yeah, old Ox, just say the word if you need help. You don't need to worry about the underworld or the heavenly court anymore. My bro is the one who has the final say. He's pretty close to the underworld, so there's no need to hide anything. We're all family. Yang Jian agreed. Oxhead shook his head with a smile. No need for that. There's no need for that. If I really needed it, I definitely wouldn't hide it. Go find them if you need it. If they don't do their best to help, then I'll deduct their bonuses. Yi Zichen chuckled. Nez's face instantly turned pale. Sky Sovereign, don't deduct my bonuses. I promise to buy new clothes for immortality Peach Jija next month. Neza chuckled. Everyone around them was amused by this little fellow. Heavenly King Li laughed dryly at the crowd and glared at Neza vaguely. Heavenly King Li, Neza has grown up. I've embarrassed myself in front of Sky Sovereign. Heavenly King Li smiled coyly. Heavenly King Li smiled sheepishly. No one made fun of Heavenly King Li and his son again. At that moment, Yi Zichen also tapped the table with his fingers, then leaned back on his chair and raised his eyebrows. Chapter 655. Conjecture, Sect Leader Yi. Everyone can see that this is organized and premeditated. Your words are no different from not saying anything. Luo Wei's words were aimed at Third Fatty Jean. Third Fatty Jean furrowed his brows and slammed the table. I think you're purposely looking for trouble. Why do you always stand out? Chief Disciple Jean, what do you mean? I'm just stating the facts. The demon realm destroyed the restrictions of the underworld and released vengeful spirits to wreak havoc in the three realms. If this wasn't premeditated by an organization, could it be that it was a whim of the other party? Luo Wei retorted firmly. He and Third Fatty Jean were enemies now. As for how this enmity came about, the two people involved might not be able to explain it clearly. Hey, you old brat, you're really fatty. Yi Zichen ordered Third Fatty Jean to get down. This wasn't the time for them to fight amongst themselves. Third Fatty Jean sat down unwillingly. Yi Zichen looked towards Luo Wei and nodded. That's right. I understand City Lord Luo's meaning, but what I want to say is not what City Lord Luo is thinking. The organized and premeditated plan I am talking about is the vengeful spirits. What's wrong with vengeful spirits? Oxhead asked in confusion. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and organized his understanding of the number of wraiths he'd encountered in each city, as well as the range of their attacks. Then, he explained his deductions. The origin of vengeful spirits is caused by vengeful aura infecting the soul. It can be said that vengeful spirits do not have their own consciousness. However, all of you can think back. When you went to rescue or defend to the death, did you notice that these vengeful spirits' attacks were very methodical? The people in the room fell silent. They were probably all thinking about the situation at that time. After a long time, Huozhan raised his head and spoke with a frown. If Sect Leader Yi hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have felt it. Now that he mentioned it, I really feel that the attacks of those vengeful spirits are very organized. That is indeed the case. Linxia couldn't help but arch an eyebrow. Then you can all think about it. Let's not talk about the Endless Beast region, since we didn't see it with our own eyes. Let's talk about the number of vengeful spirits that attacked the cities and villages outside the immortal region. Yi Zichen threw out another question with a smile. The moment the question was asked, everyone in the room was speechless. The number of vengeful spirits had a hierarchy. I believe everyone understands that the number of vengeful spirits dispatched is in order of priority. When attacking a village, there were far fewer monsters than attacking a city. When attacking a city, the number of monsters would be divided according to the order of priority. Maple City has the most, and Pool City has the least. As for the place that will be directly affected by attacking Maple City, which one do you think will be affected? The sacred ground of the immortal realms. Luo Wei, who had been wearing a sullen expression the entire time, suddenly spoke. His face was filled with shock. These vengeful spirits, City Lord Luo Wei, is too petty. Yi Zichen shook his head. The ambition of the sacred land of the immortal region does not stop there. Please enlighten me, sect leader Yi. At this moment, Luo Wei finally let go of his grudges and humbly asked for guidance. Yi Zichen smiled calmly. The entire three realms. Hua. Everyone in the room looked at Yi Zichen in shock. They couldn't understand why Yi Zichen would say something so shocking. Let me make a bold guess here. Before the vengeful spirit was released, it had already been instilled with some thoughts by someone. That's why when the vengeful spirits escaped from the underworld, they did not fly around randomly. Instead, they appeared in their minds with a clear goal in mind. Big Brother Ox said that most of the vengeful spirits stayed in the underworld, and only a small portion escaped. Even so, it still dealt a fatal blow to the various cities and villages. If all the vengeful spirits escaped, then what would happen to the outer regions of the immortal region? It's very likely, right? Luo Wei, Huazhen, Lin Shiha, and the other city lords couldn't help but nod. Even if they didn't send out all of their forces, they might not be able to survive if the underworld, heavenly court, and immortal region didn't send out their forces. Then what will happen to the immortal region after the outer regions of the immortal region are destroyed? They will naturally blame it on the underworld's mismanagement. The relationship between the two sides is already tense, and such a major incident might cause a war between the two sides. What should I say about the heavenly court? The heavenly court participated from start to finish. They aren't the victims, nor are they at fault. Yang Jian frowned. Do you not understand the Jade Emperor's personality? Yi Zichen suddenly smiled coldly. If he sees the underworld and the immortal region fighting, would he just stand by and watch? He will definitely launch an attack when the two sides are locked in a fierce battle. Yang Jian fell silent. Even Heavenly King Li, who had always been loyal to the Jade Emperor, was unable to speak up for him. How could they not know the Jade Emperor's personality after knowing him for so long? He would definitely do something like that. When that happens, a storm of blood will definitely descend upon the three realms. The three realms didn't have any huge grudges against each other, but as the fight goes on, this grudge will become irreconcilable. Then there will only be more wars in the future, Yi Zichen said with a smile. When that happens, who do you think will be the happiest? The demon realm. Neza raised his hand to answer. Actually, everyone already had the same answer, but none of them were able to say it out loud. Only someone like Neza, who was still a child, could say it. I didn't expect those guys to be so evil. Yang Jian clenched his fists so hard that they cracked. Everyone else also remained silent with sullen expressions. Well, at least things didn't develop in the direction they expected. Yi Zichen smiled, then stretched lazily. That person didn't expect the underworld to react so quickly. Or rather, he didn't expect the great sacred emperor equaling heavens to personally make an appearance, preventing a portion of the vengeful spirits from escaping. He didn't expect that the three realms, which were supposed to be at odds with each other, would actually come to each other's aid at a time like this, causing his plan to go up in smoke. The demon realm has done a good thing. I didn't expect it to make the relationship between the three realms so much more harmonious, didn't it? Haha, brother's right. Yang Jian laughed out loud with a mocking smile on his face. Those fellows from the demon realm never would have guessed that their actions would ease the relationship between the three realms by quite a bit. Right now, we're all one big family in the three realms, and our powers are all tied together. If this group of devils dares to appear in front of Grandpa, I'll definitely teach them a lesson. Luo Wei and the others couldn't help but nod. Neza even giggled and shouted. But there's one thing that I need to point out. Yi Zichen interrupted the somewhat relaxed atmosphere and looked towards Oxhead. Oxhead noticed Yi Zichen's gaze, so he suddenly nodded. Chapter 656. The coming of chaos. The atmosphere in the room was slightly gloomy, especially for the people from the underworld. They had long suspected that there might be spies within Hell's ranks. The incident in the Howling Canyon that day was still vivid in his mind. The Kitagarbha Bodhisattva had also investigated in secret, but he had not been able to find anything. Coupled with the fact that no similar incidents occurred in the later stages of hell, the matter was put on hold. Never in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that they would receive such a huge gift today. There will definitely be spies, and their level won't be low. Yi Zichen smiled. Only ghost marshals would be able to contact the 18 levels of hell without the underworld suspecting them. If that was the case, then the number of people that could be investigated would be significantly reduced. Indeed, Oxhead nodded with a sullen face. At least he had some direction in his heart. Looks like Big Brother Oxhead already has a plan, then I won't say anything more. No matter what, this is an internal problem of hell. The great sacred emperor equaling heaven has also come out of seclusion, so it's only a matter of time before he catches the spy. Yi Zichen stretched lazily, while Oxhead nodded indifferently. Horseface looked at the two of them with a dumbfounded expression and couldn't help but ask, "Big Brother Oxhead, what are you talking about? With your IQ, it's hard for you to understand what we're saying. Just eat your meal." Oxhead rolled his eyes at Horseface in annoyance. Horseface pursed his lips and did not retort. He lowered his head and picked some food into his bowl. What's more important is that we don't have a single clue as to what's going on right now. After sending Horseface away, Oxhead narrowed his eyes and frowned. In a situation like this, everyone is in danger. Even if the great emperor comes out, he can't wantonly suspect others without evidence. After all, these ghost envoys in the underworld are all elders of the underworld. Especially at our level, it hasn't changed in tens of thousands of years. That will depend on the great sacred emperor equaling heaven's choice. He is the highest leader of the underworld. Due to Yang Jian and Company's presence, neither Yi Zichen nor anyone else from the leisure house did anything else. Instead, he stayed in Maple City to help the City Lord's mansion distribute funds to the surrounding villages. Damn it, these bastards from the demon world are really vicious. I'm just too weak. If I had the cultivation base of a celestial immortal, I would definitely have a good fight with the devil realm. Looking at the village and the survivors after the vengeful spirits attacked, the coarse man Rock couldn't help but curse. Stop boasting. Even if you have the strength of a sky immortal, what can you do? Shueqi, who was organizing the resources, couldn't help but say, "Look at Yi. Is he strong? Did he hate the demon realm? But wasn't that all he could do now? Don't underestimate the problem." Stone let out a sigh, then looked up at Yi Zichen, who was smiling towards the children in the village. "Old Shue, what do you think Brother Ye's identity is? That fatty from the sacred land of the immortal region almost got into a fight with Luo Wei because of him. The people of the underworld and heavenly court also have a close relationship with him. Who knows, but his identity is definitely not simple." Shueqi smiled faintly. Stone couldn't help but roll his eyes at him and ignore him. Who couldn't tell that Yi Zichen's identity wasn't simple? The situation in this village isn't too bad. Let's go to the next village. Yi Zichen walked out of the village and walked beside Shueqi in company with a wreath made by a child around his neck, while the villagers continuously waved towards him. Would Luo Wei be so mad if he finds out? Stone suddenly asked. Yi Zichen, who was bidding farewell to the villagers, turned around with a smile. "What is it? What is it? It's clearly the City Lord's manor that gave the money for disaster relief, but you seem to have taken all the good fame." Stone raised his eyebrows towards the villagers. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. "What fame is there? Let's hurry up and go to the next village. We'll try to go to 2 more villages before the sky turns dark." "All right, no problem." Stone jumped onto the carriage. Yi Zichen and Shueqi looked at each other, then shook their heads with a smile. Just as they were about to get on, at that very moment, the disciple that third fatty gene brought over from the immortal region was covered in blood as he wobbled in the air on his sword. When the disciple saw Yi Zichen on the ground, he put away his sword and fell from the sky. Seeing this, Yi Zichen hurried over. He first checked the man's pulse, then took out a pill from his pocket and stuffed it into his mouth. Ahem! The disciple lying on the ground, covered in blood, opened his eyes and coughed violently. "What's wrong with you? Didn't you go to clear the vengeful spirits, boss? Bossy. The disciple grabbed Yi Zichen's arm, then pointed to the north. Senior apprentice brother. Senior apprentice brother. He saved. Master Bang. The disciple fainted once again before he could finish his sentence. Yi Zichen frowned and injected spiritual energy into the disciple to ensure that his life was not in danger, then turned around to look at Stone and Xue Qi. What's wrong with him? If I'm not mistaken, third Fatty Jean should be in danger. Stone, send him back to Leisure House. Xue Qi, continue sending out the relief supplies. I'll go look for Fatty in the direction the disciple pointed out. Yi Zichen calmly gave out the orders. When he saw Xue Qi and Stone nod, he soared into the sky and flew towards the north. Sure too. Remember to inform the city lord's mansion when you return. Tell them to be ready to send reinforcements at any time. Xue Qi added after Yi Zichen left. Stone, who had just placed his disciple on the carriage, frowned. Old Xue, do you think they need reinforcements? It's better to be safe than sorry. From the very beginning, I felt that this matter couldn't be resolved so easily. Since they wanted to wreak havoc in the three realms, they wouldn't have caused such a huge commotion if it were so easy to resolve. Looks like it's just as I expected. This should be the second wave of attack from the Devil Realm. Stone also sensed the severity of the situation. He nodded towards Xue Qi without saying anything else, then quickly drove the carriage away. Xue Qi sighed as he walked towards the carriage filled with supplies. Chaos is coming. Just what went wrong. With third Fatty Jean and Company S strength, they shouldn't have ended up like that when dealing with wraiths. Yi Zichen frowned as he stood in the sky and scanned the area below with his fiery eyes of truth. Apart from losing a lot of blood, the disciple also seemed to have a faint aura of death on him. Fortunately, the aura of death was rather light, so Yi Zichen immediately wiped it away. Although it's a wraith, it shouldn't be like that, right? Could it be? Chapter 657. A hero retreat, retreat. Third Fatty Jean roared his junior brothers behind him as he wielded his hammer. His eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. There were tens of thousands of wraiths in front of him, but their numbers didn't mean much. If they were just normal wraiths with spiritual bodies, they would be nothing to Third Fatty Jean and his group. However, the weakest of the wraiths was an earth immortal. All of the wraiths had physical bodies. Their originally gray eyes were pitch black without a trace of white. Their blood-red fangs dripped with blood, and their sharp claws tore at Third Fatty Jean's body. Senior brother, F***CK off. Third Fatty Jean kept swinging his hammer as he cursed viciously. What the F***CK are you looking at? I told you to F***CK off. Don't you understand me? If I tell you to F***CK off, then F***CK off. Stop being an eyesore. Senior brother. The disciples were all stained with blood. Many of them were missing an arm or a few chunks of flesh. If they had to use a word to describe their current situation, the word miserable was the only word that could match their current situation. Someone want to find Bossy. Bossy will come and save us. Bossy. Third Fatty Jean was stunned, then cursed. Who the F***CK told you to find Bossy? Do you want Bossy to come and die? A bunch of useless trash. F***CK off. Don't let me see you again. Senior brother, we don't bang. One of the junior brothers felt a heavy blow to his head before he could finish his sentence. He looked down and saw that it was Third Fatty Jean's hammer that smashed onto his head. F***CK off. I told you to F***CK off. Senior brother, I'm begging you. Hurry up and run. Do you all want to die here? How am I going to explain it to Master if you all die? I'm begging you, just run. Third Fatty Jean suddenly had a helpless look on his face. Many of the female disciples around him were already in tears. Let's go. One of the disciples clenched his teeth and dragged the disciples around him away on their swords. Only then did Third Fatty Jean reveal a gratified smile. What a bunch of cute little fellows. He suddenly turned around and saw Third Fatty Jean holding a giant hammer in his right hand, revealing his bloodied teeth. For the sake of these little fellows, why don't you eat me? But for an old man like me, even if you want to eat me, I won't let myself be captured without putting up a fight. He reached into his robe and a blood-red pill appeared in his palm. This was the blood demon pill that great Emperor Qingming had given him before he left. After eating it, it would cause one's blood to go berserk and squeeze out one's potential. However, the price he paid was that after 3 hours, the effects of the medicine would wear off, and his meridians would be severed, and he would become an ordinary person. When great Emperor Qingming gave him this pill, he sneered and didn't think much of it. He didn't think that great Emperor Qingming would be stupid enough to eat such a pill. But now he still chose to eat it. It's better to be a hero for a moment than to be a coward for a lifetime. Even if he died in battle, at least he was once glorious. Third Fatty Jean threw the pill into his mouth without hesitation. In just a few breaths of time, all the veins on his body had popped up. The veins on his body tightened, and his bean-sized eyes glowed with a blood-red light. Suddenly, the red light around Third Fatty Jean shone brightly. His black hair also instantly turned red, and his raging spiritual energy flickered with a blood-red light. He continuously broke through his shackles and continuously climbed upwards as if there was no end to it. Complete stage, human immortal. Sky immortal. Early stage, sky immortal. Mid-stage, sky immortal. This pill almost sent him to the peak of the heavenly immortal stage before his ascension came to a halt. Third Fatty Jean was dazed for a moment as he felt the power filling his body. Then he smiled evilly. "Bastards, come and eat me!" Boom! He smashed the huge hammer in his hand onto the ground, causing a crack to appear. He grinned and charged towards the center of the wraiths with a bloodthirsty expression. Thud! With every strike of his hammer, a few of the vengeful spirits would perish. But at the same time, there would be a few scratches left behind by the wraiths on his body. It's nothing. Come again. Third Fatty Jean didn't care about his injuries, or rather, he didn't want to care about them anymore. He knew that even if he survived after using the blood demon pill, he would only be a cripple. So what if he survived? He might as well let out his last bit of warmth and let the entire 3 realms remember his name. Come, buzz. A huge sound wave passed through the wraith's bodies from his mouth. The birds in the forest chirped and the beasts howled. The Immortal Region disciples who were rushing towards Maple City on their swords couldn't help but close their eyes when they saw the birds flying out of the forest. I've missed out on eldest senior brother in the past. He deserves to be the chief disciple. The one who spoke was the first disciple who agreed to leave. This disciple was the chief disciple under great Emperor Qingming. He and Third Fatty Jean were competitors when they fought for the position of chief disciple. In the end, he lost. He had always harbored hatred in his heart and looked down on Third Fatty Jean, the chief disciple. But it was only today that he was truly convinced. In front of the wraiths, Third Fatty Jean was willing to let his junior brothers leave unscathed. If it was him, it would be very difficult for him to stay behind to stop the bloodthirsty wraiths. At the very least, he wouldn't do it without any hesitation like Third Fatty Jean. Senior brother. The surrounding junior brothers kept muttering Third Fatty Jean's name. At that moment, Third Fatty Jean's influence was incomparably great in their hearts. Let's go. We don't know how long Senior Brother Jean can stop those wraiths. Let's hurry back to Maple City. The underworld swore that the strongest wraiths are Earth immortals, and it's impossible for them to be human immortals. But those wraiths just now were sky immortals. We need to demand an explanation from the underworld. Yes, we need an explanation. The Immortal Region disciples flew towards Maple City aggressively on their swords. Little did they know that Third Fatty Jean had already been forced to the edge of a cliff by the wraiths. His strength had indeed skyrocketed after eating the blood demon pill. But even if he was an immortal king, there were over 10,000 wraiths with average strength of mid-stage human immortals. So what? I'm regretting it. Third Fatty Jean's eyes narrowed into slits as he walked to the edge of the cliff. I've decided not to let you guys eat it. Bye-bye. Third Fatty Jean took a step back and fell to the bottom of the cliff. The wraiths all surrounded the cliff, but did not dare to come down. Third Fatty Jean smiled faintly as he felt the wind pushing against his back. Chapter 658. Theory. Third Fatty Jean slowly closed his eyes, then opened his arms, Hey, that's enough for me, right? Hurry up and change the camera to somewhere else. Third fatty Jean, who was falling down the cliff, couldn't help but retort. Third fatty Jean, who was falling towards the bottom of the cliff, couldn't help but complain. He wasn't cool for more than 3 seconds, but the camera just moved perfectly when he was at his coolest. The main character is here. Can the camera be changed? At that moment, Yi Zichen flapped his black wings and flew towards third fatty Jean, then grabbed him. You're already dying at such a young age. Did you get a wife? Did you confess to the second senior sister you admired? Did you pay back the food money you owe the cafeteria uncle? Also, have you enjoyed the admiration of those junior sisters of yours? You want to die without doing anything? Aren't you being too useless? Bossy. Third fatty Jean opened his eyes wide and revealed a joyful expression. Bullshit. Who would want to die if they could live? Didn't he have no other choice back then? So he tried to find a cooler camera to end his life? He wanted to leave his most glorious moment in the hearts of the audience. But honestly, he didn't want to die. But something's off. I didn't say anything about what happened just now. How did Bossy know? Bossy, how did you know that I like second senior sister and owe the cafeteria uncle money? Third fatty Jean opened his eyes wide. Yi Zichen was momentarily stunned, then replied, Was I right just now? Actually, I was just randomly guessing. Can I scold you? Third fatty Jean couldn't help but ask after several tens of seconds of silence. If you want me to throw you down, then you can scold me. A dying man's words are kind. Go ahead, I can take it. Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled. Third fatty Jean shrunk his neck and thought about his beautiful future. Never mind, I'll just endure it. But I still want to tell you something. Yi Zichen, who had been dragging third fatty Jean, squinted his eyes. It seems like you F***king screwed me over. We can't get out. What? Third fatty Jean glared. Didn't you feel it? The wind cave in the canyon seems to only allow entry and not exit. There's a wind wall above the canyon that I can't fly over. I already tried several times just now. Bossy, stop messing around. I'm not messing with you. Yi Zichen smiled wryly. Third fatty Jin's expression immediately darkened as he cursed. Then why did you come down? Lousy's good scene was ruined by you. I've cowered when I should, and I've stirred up emotions when I should, but you actually said that I can't go up. I thought that I was sacrificing myself for the happiness of all mankind. This time, the Yellow Emperor's reincarnation will die with me. My master will definitely curse me after I die. Yi Zichen couldn't help but scratch his head with a smile when he heard Third Fatty Jin's retort. This is my fault. Why don't we delete this part and reenact it? Scram. If you want to die, then let's die together. With that, Third Fatty Jean hung onto Yi Zichen like an octopus, causing Yi Zichen's expression to darken. F***CK, let go. Lousy can't fly. A Maple City, Castellan's residence. Brother Shue, you must be thinking too much. The wraiths are only at the Earth immortal level at most. Those wraiths can't pose any threat to Brother Yi. Yang Jian patted Shue Qi's shoulders. Yang Jian repeatedly patted Shue Qi's shoulder. Shue Qi had been worried ever since Yi Zichen left. After sending off a village, Shue Qi went straight to the city lord's manor to ask for reinforcements. If you don't believe me, then Oxhead is someone from the underworld. He definitely knows the strength of the wraiths. What's more, Neza, Luo Wei, and company have already left. It's only a matter of time before Yi Zichen returns. I can guarantee that. The wraiths are not stronger than the Earth immortal level, Oxhead promised. At that moment, several hundred Immortal Region disciples with swords in their hands descended from the city lord's manor. The Immortal Region disciples are back. It seems like Yi Zichen should be back as well. Inside the room, Yang Jian stood up from the chair with a faint smile and followed the other people in the room to the door. When they arrived at the door, they noticed that all of them had bloodshot eyes. Even though they were heavily injured, they all stood up straight and stared at Oxhead and Horseface of the underworld. You guys, Yang Jian couldn't help but ask. Sun Yuanjia, who had once fought with Third Fatty Jean for the chief disciple position, smiled, then pointed his sword at Oxhead. Oxhead, let me ask you, did you say that wraiths are no stronger than the Earth immortal level? Yes, Oxhead nodded. I did say that wraiths are no stronger than the earth immortal level. Everyone here should know this very well. We fought with wraiths so many times already. Are there any special circumstances? Sun Yuanjia asked. Yes, but even if there are special circumstances, it is impossible for them to be stronger than the earth immortal level. The constitution of a wraith determines its strength. It can only be a complete stage earth immortal at most. Sun Yunjia suddenly let out an unbridled laugh, and the juniors behind him all stared at him coldly. What are you guys doing? Something's wrong. Why are you guys so heavily injured? Shouldn't you be clearing out the remaining wraiths? Could it be that you've encountered people from the Devil Clan? Then how's my brother Yi? Have you seen him? Yang Jian's questions were like cannonballs spitting out his mouth. Sun Yuanjia's lips curled into a mocking smile. Wraiths. We did clear out wraiths. We didn't encounter any demons either. Then why are you guys injured? Yang Jian raised his brows. Sun Yuanjia snorted. Aren't our injuries caused by wraiths? Yang Jian's eyes widened. Oxhead couldn't help but shake his head. That's impossible. There's just a large number of wraiths. Unless you guys encountered a wave of wraiths, you guys wouldn't be injured like this. Also, it's been a few days since we cleared out the wraiths. Yang Jian and I have already cleared out a large area. It's impossible for there to be a wave of wraiths. It's not a wave of wraiths. We only went with tens of thousands of wraiths. Then how? But the weakest of them are at the complete stage of the earth immortal level, while the strongest are at the sky immortal level. Sun Yuanjia fiercely gritted his teeth. The arm holding the immortal sword trembled violently. In order to protect us, our eldest senior brother personally stayed behind to bring up the rear. We didn't return to the immortal region directly because we wanted to ask the underworld a question. Why did you lie to us? I didn't. That's impossible. Oxhead kept shaking his head. It's impossible for wraiths to break through the earth immortal level. You said that tens of thousands of them are at least complete stage earth immortals. That's complete nonsense. So you're saying that I'm lying to you?